there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and it's New Comic Book Day. No, it's not. It's Comic Book Roundtable. I don't know what day it is anymore. I have one of those kind of days. Free Comic Book Day. It's that too. That's what I wanted to say. Except for Mike's the only person who really partaked, right?
Yep.
He went back for seconds, even, right?
Yeah. I was bad.
Oh, nice. So, the town next to mine actually has it's like a mom and pop version of a 7-Eleven. And they sell comic books there now. I haven't actually been to the place to see what it is. Anybody who has a long history with me knows that the town next to mine used to have or has had a comic book shop in the back of this tattoo parlor. It was kind of iffy. I think this is the same people. They've kind of either cleaned up their act and moved it to the front of Main Street, or they got bought out by somebody else or something. I'm not sure. I had intended to go today to kind of check the shop out, use Free Comic Book Day as a excuse to show up, but I didn't. I got busy and found other things to do. But at any rate, so I didn't partake, but I'm getting free comics. I'll get them next week, right, Rez? That's when you're getting yours too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because Discount Comic Book Service gives us, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 picks or something like that to pick a bunch of comic books. So I picked as random of things as I possibly could come up with the except of Wonder Woman. I got the Wonder Woman thing, which I know is going to be a reprint of Wonder Woman #1. So I'm not sure why I did that. So and
that's why I didn't get it, because of the reprint.
Yeah, Mike says it was. So yeah. But at any rate, so we'll probably talk a little smattering of new comic books day, Free Comic Book Day comics and amongst everything. See, it's not just spell checker on my phone that's bad. I can't even say it right. Holy cows. But anyway, we flipped the imaginary 3-sided coin, and we're gonna talk Marvel again first. So Mike, what do you want to talk Marvel wise?
Well, since the movie is out, I did pick up the all-new Guardians of the Galaxy Free Comic Book Day teaser with the Defenders also. It was fun. I mean, for the people who watch the new movie, they know it's fun, it's enjoyable and everything. And this is what this was too. Of course, it's free. I didn't pay for it. I'm not going to pay $4 for it. But the artwork was nice. The story in it was an escape. It's almost like, for being a #1, it is like the forming of the team. So it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it.
So is this a reprint of something that's already been produced?
No, I think this is a brand new one that is
coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there's Guardians, there's another Rocket Raccoon, there's another. I think actually there's 2 Guardians. One's a 6-issue mini, and then a full one. So
okay.
I mean, they're trying to get their money's worth out of the movie.
Sure. Well, it coincides really well. They released a movie basically the same weekend as Free Comic Book Day. Is a pretty sweet gig, I think. So, yeah.
In the back end of it, there is the Defenders, and obviously it's styled after the Netflix show.
Sure.
There's a guy who comes into Jessica's investigation, says he needs her help, starts saying that the club gets tore up, and he's like saying, then it's, Luke Cage and Daredevil and Iron Fist. And she's like, this has nothing to do with me. And he goes, well, I just need you to send a message. And he pushes a button on his phone, and somebody shoots a rocket at Luke Cage outside of his home. Somebody blows up a car for Daredevil on the steps of the courthouse, and somebody throws a car through Danny Rand's window in his penthouse or his business. So and then he goes and shoots Jessica in the stomach, and he says Diamondback is back. So it really hits on all the notes of the TV show, because Luke and Jessica aren't together, but he knows that all 4 of them hang out together. So
okay.
Yeah, it's definitely Marvel capitalizing on their other property,
So do they have the night nurse in there?
They did not show her.
Okay, I wondered if she would get this version of the quote unquote night nurse would get incorporated into the comic books. Who's writing that? Does it say? Is it Bendis?
Yeah, Bendis with Marquez and Ponzer on it. Or Marquez, sorry. So The Guardians of the Galaxy was Dugan, Kudar, and Sorborich. So
Okay. Dugan, who he writes Deadpool, right?
oh, all right.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Sounds familiar. I mean, not that I pay attention to Deadpool a whole lot, but I
After
think
my
that's yeah.
I was gonna say after my big Deadpool pickup today, you think I'd be the expert, but
Right.
I will concede to you on that knowledge. So.
Okay, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that that's the
Right.
book that he works on and whatnot. As far as Marvel books, I did pick up a couple. So new number one, I did pick up a new number one from Marvel, Black Bolt. Largely for the Kristen Ward art. I'm a big fan of his. Currently, other thing he's working on is, of course, he does the Odyssey for Image. Just really, he has his own unique style of art. Kind of this splashy watercolor. Very dynamic pages and panel work and that sort of thing. I'm a big fan of Black Bolt. Anyway, I'm always curious about that character. How do you write him in a comic when? I mean, his superpower is his voice. I mean, him just whispering can like shatter every bone in a person's body. Clearly if he yells, he can level entire cities. So how do you go about writing a character, especially if he's going to interact with anybody else without him speaking, so I think it presents some challenges that I'm always curious about to see how people do that. The writer on this is Saladin Ahmad, and I'm probably killing the poor guy's name. I'm not familiar if he writes a lot of other comic books. I know he has written all kinds of prose and poetry, and I mean, he's a published writer of a lot of other stuff. But I don't know about comic book wise what all he has done and whatnot. But like I said, bought it for the art in it is fabulous. The only thing I would say is I think that if this was not a Marvel book, maybe if it wasn't a DC book even, then it would look even better, I think. Like Image, the paper they use for like the Odyssey book is a little bit shinier and a little bit slicker, so it makes all the color pop a little bit more. But there's Black Bolt. He is chained up, he is muzzled, and he is being kind of tortured away. This is actually him breaking loose. He at least breaks loose of the shackles and the chains. But he's in prison somewhere. I mean, it wakes up with him basically waking up in darkness, and he is acknowledging the fact that he's chained up, and he's been muzzled, and he doesn't know how he got here. He doesn't know all this stuff, but and he's trying to remember even who he is. Some voice is blasts down either in his head or out loud. I'm never 100% sure. Saying name your crimes and repent. And then he gets like electrocuted. He gets zapped, and he's smoking afterwards. He's clearly bleeding and whatnot. And it keeps asking him the same thing: name your crimes and repent. And he starts to remember, I'm not a criminal. I'm a hero. I'm a king. And he gets zapped again, and it knocks him out. And then he wakes up. Kind of goes through this process for quite a while of him doing this. Every time he gets zapped, though, he remembers more and more about why he's here. Basically, he thinks, I don't know if it's for sure or not, they were going to put his brother, what is it, Attila or something like that? I'm trying to remember his brother's name. They had intended to throw his brother in a prison that no one knows that exists, and it's like next to impossible to get out of, kind of a thing. They're going to throw him in that to deep six him because he's this dangerous inhuman and is a threat to everybody. But somehow he like swaps bodies or doppelgangers and makes Black Bolt look like his brother, and they throw Black Bolt in the prison instead. So he's trying to get his way out of this prison. About halfway through, he runs into Absorbing Man.
He's a favorite of mine.
Yeah. He doesn't really have his powers here, but Crusher's still a badass even without his powers. And so he gets into a fight with Black Bolt. Black Bolt is still muzzled. Yeah. And in the process of fighting him, Crusher cracks the muzzle. So now he can get the muzzle off when he wants to, kind of thing. He ends up beating Crusher. And Crusher's like, you have to get through me to get to the boss that's behind me, kind of thing. And after Black Bolt beats Crusher up and he's walking away, Crusher's like, what a dope. I mean, basically, I think the fight was a fake fight. I mean, he was supposed to make it seem real, but it was more just to kind of jerk, Black Bolt around. He gets to the end of it. There's this big wicked guy at the end of it, this big evil guy that now he's going to have to engage. He tries to fight the guy, and the guy, blasts him, and what are your crimes again, and nukes him. He actually whispers some stuff, and it does nothing. He breaks off the muzzle. You get this really super fine little word bubble of him saying stop, and here's the oh shit look on his face, because nothing happened. I mean, nothing in the entire place, crinkled, folded, nothing. So he's in a bit of a panic over that. But he wakes up and he finds himself, he's on this rock, and I'm sure some people know that rock. I mean, I've seen it like in the movies and whatnot, where Thanos was. Wasn't Thanos on some silly rock prison or whatnot? So he's stuck in this prison, kind of in the nether world, kind of a thing. It was interesting. Like I said, I really love the art. I'm on board. I like the character. Curious to see what happens. I'm betting probably if I were not lazy and I would read this, first page, maybe it tells me more of where he's at.
Yeah.
I refuse to read that page because I hate that page. To me, that's a page of wasted money. And okay, so I've taken this book out of here twice now, and I don't know if you can see that. Can you see the black smudge already appearing on my bag just from sliding it in and out?
Oh yeah, that is the Marvel curse.
But I really enjoyed it. It was really, I mean, like I said, the art was great in it. Even with all the dark colors. I mean, him being locked, him being in black, him, being in a prison that was all dark and whatnot. It still really looked really good and whatnot. So I'm curious. I'll collect it for now. I suspect if it makes it that far, when the whole legacy thing starts up, it'll get toasted or something. I don't know. But like I said, I really enjoyed that.
And I believe his brother is Maximus the Mad.
That's what it is. Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So not 100% sure that that's what's actually happened, or if now when he wakes up and finds himself locked in another prison, if he isn't actually stuck someplace else worse than that. Okay. Not 100% sure, because it seemed like that as he got farther along in the prison, the people that he encounters a few people, and those people kind of like they're directing him without him realizing it. They're kind of feeding him to something. So yeah, I don't know, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So what else you got Marvel wise?
Of course, free comic book day. I did pick up the Secret Empire version. I did so because of the Sorrentino art in it. It looks like, there was a lot of spoilers in this, so I'm not going to say too much for everybody else who's going to pick this up. There's characters that I did not expect to be back that are already back, so that was part of the spoiler.
Oh.
So I don't know.
When you say back, like back from the dead?
Yeah.
So is it Cosmic Cube oriented?
They haven't explained that.
Okay.
Okay,
cool.
and that's one of the things is even in this one, it's just being revealed that Steve Rogers is the bad guy. I mean, It's like all the heroes are fighting Hydra, and then the boss plane comes and it opens up, and there's Steve in front of everybody with all of the, I can show that, all the other Hydra people that you always expect, Madam Hydra, and Hive and Red Skull, Zemo,
yeah.
The Dr. Faustus, So I mean, it's so tough to figure out how much of this I'm supposed to take literally, because it's almost too much. It's too crazy. I guess there's a dome over Manhattan, so everybody's trapped. There's a space component, so like the Kree, I think, or the Chitauri are coming, and so there's something else tied in with that, which I guess is supposed to be the bigger, overarching part of the storyline. So all of our heroes now realize Steve is the one, and they know that they've been set up, they've been trapped because of him, they've been outmaneuvered because of him, and there's a big reveal right at the end. So that shows that Steve is right. So that's supposed to be the big selling point, is the heroes always thought they were right, but now you find out Steve is right. So yeah, to the best of my knowledge, it's Cosmic Cube orientated and that.
Sure.
So the Zdarsky story is the backup in this, and it was fun. I mean, it was fun, interesting, and light.
Is that the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man? Is that?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
sweet. Okay.
And I mean, it's him and the Vulture. The Vulture's got some souped up armor, and it was a nice little quick storyline. And they even introduce, of course, the new Trapster. She comes in and sprays them with a whole bunch of Trapster gunk.
Sure.
And it was funny because you get to see the Vulture saying, "Well, that's kind of like what you were like when you were younger, Spider-Man." And he's like,
Yeah.
"I'm not old. I'm a young guy. I'm hip." So
nice.
So it was just interesting on that. There's also a Secret Empire Spotlight, which builds off of all the other little stories that are out there. Because there's going to be like a Captain Marvel one about space, Resistance kind of one. It looks like Spencer has put his finger into everything, and then some people have written out the story a little further.
Uh-huh.
So I'm sure he's got a huge overarching one. Because they show a little bit of like the champions, like they're going to have a big part to play in this with Black Widow. Trying to think what else there was. You get a nice big space double spread of how it's going to be in space with Guardians and all of them. So there must be a huge space component.
So this is a giant advertisement to tell you that all those other books are going to get jacked up by Secret Empire, huh?
Well, yes and then no, because then there's a Doctor Strange 21.
Yeah.
Written by Dennis Hopeless, and the art is Nico Hench.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
I would almost jump back on because I mean it looks like a really nice book. So
I'm getting it because it's got Spider-Woman in it too.
Okay.
And that's the next place to get, because Hopeless wrote the Spider-Woman, this last Spider-Woman run. So
yeah. That was the only one that didn't show it. Everything else, looked pretty jacked.
Yeah.
Ultimates, I don't know if you know Odd Koch, AUD, and then last name KOCH. His artwork for the new Ultimates almost was like a little bit of Eon Flux, but a little loose is how I felt.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know how many of these books are going to be in space either. That was the only other thing that kind of got me a little worried. I don't like space books. So
Interesting. And you said that you were getting some of the Secret Empire books.
Yeah, anything that has Sorrentino on it. I'm not picking up any of the Steve McNiven ones. I'll pick those up in the dollar bin later. But yeah, I'm only picking it up for Sorrentino art.
Steve McNiven is an awesome artist too, though. I mean,
he is, but I don't need to pick up his right away.
So you're only going to pick up every other issue. How weird is that going to make it?
As weird as any Marvel crossover or anything like that.
Okay, fair.
Because I don't really know that you need it for the story. I mean, you're going to hear all the spoilers. You're going to see everything posted online.
Yeah, that's why I'm not reading any of it.
Yeah.
That and I don't want to partake in the whole Nazi thing. So.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. So.
Okay, cool. Interesting. I'm glad you're picking it up because then I can hear about bits and pieces of it without having to participate myself. The other Marvel book that I picked up was Hawkeye issue number 6. Still really loving the story. This is the second part to this this story with Jessica Jones being there in Hollywood, and the two of them teamed up to figure out the mystery. The story itself, I still really enjoy. The characters are fun and whatnot. The art in this issue was weird. Same artist as last issue, which was great. I feel like it was hurried up a little bit. There are actual images in here where I'm guessing this artist works digitally, because there are parts in here where it looks like they changed the frame size of like a panel, and when they squished it, so instead of keeping in proportion, like if they like let's say they drag and draw kind of thing, like they cut it and wanted to make it smaller or something or skinnier, they made it skinnier, but it didn't keep its proportions. So it literally, their faces and heads are a little elongated and whatnot. I mean, it's so obvious. It immediately popped me out of reading the story. I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with this person's face? And let me see if I can, now that I've said that, see if I can find it right away. But the whole thing was a lot looser of art than the last issue was. And I don't mind, kind of loose art and whatnot, but man, I think it really left Jay Valeri to kind of hold the story together, because otherwise, yes, I can't find a stupid panel that has that in it now that I've said that. But
can't find your thumbprint where it has it marked.
I can't. Oh, gosh, I'm excited. Lucky, better known as Pizza Dog, is going to be it'll be in the next issue. The dog's finally out of quarantine, having flown over from New York or something like that. So now Lucky's going to be around. So that'll be fun. Yeah, and then I've said that I can't find a stinking panel that has it in it. But it was multiple times that it's there.
Right.
I should have looked my finger and marked it. That way I'd be able to show it off, because it was one of those kind of things that I went, And there's some fun stuff like this art here, this kind of panel that's in kind of this, wider border pink, kind of harkens to the Matt Fraction and David Aja run of Hawkeye. So I like it when the artists and the writers, they continue to do winks and nods to the other creators that have recently, used these characters and done interesting things with them. So that was kind of cool. They fight a dragon in this. There's an Inhuman who can turn into a dragon, and it's kind of fun watching them try to slay a dragon. They're not really trying to slay the dragon, but that sort of a thing. God dang it! Now that I've said that, I absolutely cannot find it for nothing. But
everybody follow Oddfellow Thoughts on Twitter, and he'll
no, there it is right there. There is Jessica Jones. Does she not look like she's been stretched? I mean,
yeah.
This panel is a little skinnier than this panel. It's like this panel is the same thickness as this panel, and this panel is a little fatter because they had to try and fit this two conversation in without them being so close to each other. They were kissing, I'm guessing, right? So they squished this panel, but literally she looks, maybe if you held it like that, she looks like she's in proportion, but square on, no. But there's a couple of them though that way where it's just like, doesn't translate on camera probably quite so well. But when you're reading, you're just like, whoa, what the hell? But anyway, next issue, new arc. Mirror, Mirror, who's the deadliest of them all? I'm looking forward to it. I've really been enjoying the Hawkeye book. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, this issue, the art was clearly seems to me like I was a little more rushed job to get it done, but the story itself is fun.
Do you know, is the artist on Twitter? Could you ask her if there was something up with that?
They probably are. I'm not going to ask that question.
Okay.
Because I don't know. Part of me feels like that's a bit obnoxious to go, hey, there's this panel that I think is really jacked up. What the hell did you do to it? I don't know. I don't know how to politely say that.
The same way you ask somebody if they're pregnant. You just blurt it out.
You just do it, huh? Okay. Well, see, I don't do that either. So I guess, as a funny kind of aside, for a while I was complaining about when I was reading Batgirl: The Birds of Prey, there'd always be a word bubble or somebody colored wrong. And I was kind of complaining about it. One day I was complaining about it on Twitter. I wasn't tagging it because I think that's just rude as could be. If you're going to tear something apart, and I really wasn't tearing it apart. I was just pointing out that every issue had an error in it. And I didn't tag any creators' names in it. And the writer, one of the two writers, the sisters, added me saying, what did we make a mistake on? So I'm like, so I'm uncomfortably trying to explain, this is where I see this error at. She's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, whoops. So, but I just felt bad because it wasn't like I wasn't doing what I think is really shitty. Going at it. I hate your book. Why do that? Why do that? I mean, I'm all for, like we're doing here, having a discussion, saying I didn't like this piece of work or whatever. And I wouldn't have a problem if I was on Twitter and I was talking about it on Twitter, showing that and going, wow, this looks like it was stretched or whatever. And I guess if the artist were to reply, that'd be fine. So we'll find out, because when I find the other pictures, I will tweet them out and say, this looks what it looks like, because that's what it looks like to me. It looks like they had to squish those panels around, and that was the thing that paid. So yeah. All righty. Any other Marvel?
No, that was it.
Okay. Marvel, so how was the movie?
Very fun. Non-spoiler, I'll just say that, and you'll see it all over Twitter, everything. Everybody
We're
loved
talking
it.
Guardians of the Galaxy, for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, sorry. For Guardians, it was fun. It was smart. Everything they did right, they doubled down on and made better. And by that, I mean, sometimes you tell a fart joke and everybody laughs. So the next sequel, you make them poop their pants and you're like, well, that wasn't very good. What they did was they made it smarter. So, I mean, it wasn't a copy like you see that, it ruins the sequels. This one, they explored other characters. They made them better, because I was worried about Baby Groot, and Baby Groot was enjoyable. I was worried about Drax, because I didn't really connect with him in the first movie, but I really cared about him this movie. And then any jokes, I mean, the theater was laughing out loud. It was a great gathering. I went with my comic shop, so it was 300 of my best nerdy friends, and we had a blast.
Sweet. So did they give Gamora more to do than just stand around and look like a stewardess at the end of the movie when they go to fly off?
Oof. Oh,
yeah,
at the end of the first one.
The end of the first one, right? I mean, she's basically kind of hanging out like she's a stewardess on their ship.
Yes, there's more exploration of her character, both through other people and then her relationship with Peter.
Oh, okay.
And she is a fighter. They explore that a little bit more. They still don't make her the badass that she is in the comics, but I hopefully eventually see that they could kick off her own movie.
So when they get to like volume 7 of the movie, they'll have it nailed down. Yeah,
pretty much so. Yeah.
Is that weird? Is that weird to call it? Because it is called Volume 2, right?
Yeah.
It is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yep.
Is that not weird? To me, that is the weirdest title, because volume implies book. I've never heard that.
Oh, and it is supposed to be the play on the tape that he gets at the end, because
I guess that those are volume.
Yeah, and that is the other tough part, is it is heavily laid in with music.
Sure.
And that was another thing I was worried about. Once again, I thought they did it well. So, this is that director's Gunn's plan, and I think the smartest thing Marvel did is step back and let him do it.
So they create a playlist and then make a movie around it.
Pretty much so, yes. Because, it is. It's pretty music heavy. So.
That's one thing I liked about the Guardians of the Galaxy, like the first one. I haven't seen the second one yet. I was planning on going this Sunday or later on in the week, but the first one for me was really, really good. Like, it's so watchable. Like, there's only so many movies out there that I can rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. Yeah. I'm wondering. I'm curious if the second one was similar as far as can you rewatch it over and over with the same.
I'm going to see it again this Sunday with my wife, because she missed out, and I don't feel I'm going to. There's a lot of things that you miss the first time, especially if there's in a big theater, people laughing, that kind of stuff. Because there was a couple times where it was laugh after laugh after laugh. There is tears in this. There is a lot of that good stuff, but it's just popcorn enough that to watch it, multiple times. There's enough jokes, enough visual things. And especially how fast they cut through some things. There's lots of nerdy references that you're going to want to try and catch over and over again. So
yeah. Well, I look forward.
I think there's. Sorry, I was just going to say. I think there's 4 extra scenes afterwards.
Ooh, I love when they do that. When they add those little extras after the credits and stuff. It's pretty darn cool.
I don't plan on seeing it. At least I don't plan on seeing it in the theater, because I'm a hater, and that's my least favorite of all the Marvel movies. I dislike that one the most. I went and saw it opening night, the first one, and did not care for it at all. So
then I would just say especially avoid it, because it's like
Yeah.
everything that everybody loved in all the first one,
Right.
they doubled or tripled down on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, but I knew that. I mean,
yeah.
I knew I wasn't going to go see it. So that's cool. I'm glad it's successful. And now the volume things make sense. Now that you brought up
Right.
the cassette tape thing, because I just kept, I'm like, that is the weirdest title. So cool. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other Marvel type things? I know that there was kind of a hubbub of the fact that Marvel basically released kind of a statement saying, hey, cool your jets, be patient. Our big event's going to rock your world, but you got to read it to know that, kind of thing about the whole, people being basically upset over the fact that they've taken some of the characters and the direction that they've taken and whatnot. So, yeah.
And if you read the Secret Empire free issue, the line gets pushed even further. So
yeah.
And
Well,
after,
saying, hey, it's all going to be okay. At the same time, they have covers of Steve Rogers twirling his mustache, kind of thing. So, whatever.
And Marvel's just got to embrace it. They got to say, yeah, this is an evil storyline. Haters stay away, and then watch everybody flock to it, and people buy 10 issues and all that stuff.
Well, that's the problem. They either should have been smart enough that once they started to float the storyline, went, oh, maybe this isn't a good time to do this storyline, or go all in. Don't be wishy-washy. I mean, don't be wishy-washy about it. Go, yeah, this is gonna be offensive to some people, but we're gonna rock this thing, and that's what we're gonna do, kind of thing. But them kind of trying to play both sides of the fence about it, just, I don't know, makes them look sillier and worse, really, is what it does. At least for me, anyway. Kind of a thing. So, yeah, interesting.
Also in the news, we did see television-wise the first pictures of the Inhumans.
Oh, wow, yeah. Woo! Medusa's hair looks rough, and that's the one thing that was going to excite me the most, is to see how they would do that. The stills, it's kind of all it is like a family portrait, right? Kind of a them.
Yes,
stand there.
family portrait, yeah.
And they need to give, put Bolt, give him his mask, his tuning fork, and
yes,
and let him go. In my opinion, but I don't know what the show's supposed to really be about.
A spinoff of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It is,
and basically, I think it's filling because it's a short run,
right?
And I think it's going to fill the off season of S.H.I.E.L.D.
So it's like
Agent Carter, yeah.
Agent Carter was okay.
Yeah. Huh. Which should have gotten a third season. It was much better. So
right. Well, I think one of the reasons it didn't get that other season is because that actress went on to a full-time job.
Yeah, she did. To a new show.
Right. Yeah. Also, this week the Defenders trailer came out. Right, the official.
Yes. Yep.
Defenders. I have not actually watched it yet, but
it's got a hallway scene.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'll be curious to see how they play these characters off each other. I mean, we saw some of it with the kind of the Jessica Jones, Luke Cage stuff, but I'm curious to see, getting all of them together and how do they play with each other.
It's Claire being the glue. Everybody at first is like, I don't need you, team up,
Yeah, I was gonna say the only bit I saw was something obviously bad had happened. Jessica Jones is sitting in jail. She's got blood on her and whatnot, and they're trying to question her, and Matt Murdock comes in and does the I'm your lawyer, and she's like, yeah.
There also is the Iron Fist punch to Luke Cage's face, which reminisces from the Luke Cage where the guy hits and then breaks his hand.
Right.
But then you see the jowl shake, and
slow motion.
That was pretty good. Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good, and it shows in the hallway scene each of them does a uses their power. Punches in a certain way, so hopefully once again though it's better choreographing than the Iron Fist show. But
yeah.
And then I was going to say, lastly, we also got the first picture of the Runaways, which I was excited for.
Now, where is the Runaways going to be? I mean, is that still just like in a pilot? Do we know where that's going to end up at? Is that
the Lifeform channel, or it's the old ABC Family, and now it's Freeform. Sorry, Freeform.
Okay.
Like where Cloak and Dagger is going to be. So potentially that could always do a crossover too. So
right. Right.
If they're smart, they'll copy the CW.
Well, that's what I'm guessing. They're going to be kind of more along the lines of the CW,
Yeah.
a la,
Soap opera.
a la Supernatural and Vampire Diaries and that kind of. I'm guessing more along the emo-y kind of angsty soap opera thing. So
Yeah.
Cool. Right on.
Because I did see some of the preview stuff of Cloak and Dagger,
Right.
and it was almost like all emotional, all Riverdale, and then
Mhm.
at the end you get a taste of the
Right.
superpowers. So
Actually, it looked pretty cool. I mean, I was like, okay, yeah, this is very. You're right. It felt very Riverdale-esque. And then when they whipped the powers out, that was kind of like, okay, this could be exciting. So, yeah, too much television.
yeah, it's getting to be that way.
Oh
But that
my
way,
God.
I don't watch Supergirl, and I can rewatch Supergirl when I want to in just a run,
Right.
and I just missed the crossover stuff.
Yeah. I've gotten so far behind that. That's what I'm doing now. Anyway, I've
Yeah.
started erasing it off of my DVR, and I'm gonna watch it in bulk when I get a chance to, kind of thing. So, for a lot of it. So, except for
Yeah,
like,
and I think the new way they're going to run it is it's going to come like the month before fall
Hmm.
on Netflix. So
sure. Yeah, I don't know. Looking forward to it. It'll be interesting. I've been enjoying as a whole most of the Netflix kind of thing and whatnot. So, I don't know if I'll give the Inhumans a shot since I don't really watch Shield. So I don't. Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good. So, any other Marvel-y things we want to talk about? Okay.
That's all I can think of. Yeah.
Okay. So we roll on to some DC. Talk some DC books.
Sure.
What do I talk? We want to talk the one DC book we all have.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Talking some Flintstones. I really like your cover.
I
Like,
know. I like the cover too.
Wrestling alligator. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, it's the old claws. It's
Oh, it's a claw.
yeah, and in the back you can see that they're like looking at a tank to pick out the ones they want. I think
Right.
Barney's actually in there.
Barney's
swimming.
floating it. So it's the lobster tank, and they're trying to
Yeah.
pick up their lobster. And of course, it's always over the top, kind of.
Yeah,
Nice,
the
nice.
spoof on the ribs. And I'm lucky. I mean, I do have my shop, so I get to choose
Sure.
which cover.
Well, I could have picked the other one if I'd wanted the variants of
Oh,
this one.
yeah.
I usually just those kind of things. I typically just stick with the standard cover on and whatnot. So, Rez, issue number 11 of the Flintstones. What do we think?
Well, I really enjoyed it. Like I love their whole take on the housing association and co-ops and stuff. Because at one point I was like, you know what? I thought it was, because we don't have co-ops in this area, so I always thought, maybe a co-op is good. But then just seeing their analysis of it and their breakdown of how like these housing associations really do, it's like, oh goodness gracious! It's true. Like this, they were saying, well, what our true intentions are is to destroy everything and tidy up everything and make it a certain particular way. And I'm like, that's what they do. Like, and it even spoke to the whole hipster, I guess.
Yes.
Gentrification.
Gentrification, right? Coming back into places and buying them up and making it all fancy, and then making it to where the people who are still happen to be living in their homes can't afford to live in their own neighborhoods anymore because they've, which is a real thing. At least here in the United States, is a real, a real thing.
Exactly. And I really enjoyed seeing that whole side and whole take on the gentrification, as you guys would say. I mean, because it's you don't really think about things that way, and that's what I love about this book. It has you thinking. It just has you think about things in a different light and a different way. So I think any book that gets me thinking as much as this book does, I think it's a great find, a great buy. I think anybody who doesn't get this is missing out because it's brilliant, really brilliantly and cleverly written. And I'm kind of sad because I was given deets on my last show that I did on Early Bird that apparently the comic is not selling too well. And I just hate to hear that. Like I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to buy triples of these because I want it to sell. I love
crazy. Okay, here's the thing. Obviously, I didn't pick it up in singles when it first came out. I went, like 3 months in, I'm going, man, I should probably be picking this up. 4 months in, I'm like, I'm an idiot for not having picked this up. By the time 5 months hit, I went and got the trade, and regret even more that I wasn't picking it up. I mean, the thing's only scheduled to be 12 issues, and that's what their intention always was. So, is my understanding.
More.
Well, same here. It's like it's criminal that we've only got one more issue. It's done, in my opinion. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a book that I probably will buy more copies of the first trade. And because every once in a while I'll get people running to me, they find out every comics or whatever, and they'll go, well, I don't really like comics, or I don't think I like comics. What would you have me read? This will be a comic book I will give a lot of people who don't think they want to read comics. And I know what their first response is going to be. Flintstones? Seriously, you're giving me Flintstones? I watched the cartoon. I don't need to.
Yeah, that's why that's not reacting the same. When I started picking it up, I thought to myself, Flintstones? Like, I'm not reading that. Like, I watched it all the time. Like, what could they possibly do here that will make me pick this up? And let me tell you, I felt so stupid for even assuming that it wouldn't be good. Like, it's awesome. And like this, you're right. This is one of those books that you hand out to people. I'm the same way with anything like with the Max Immortal series by Rick Vetch, and also with Saga, because Saga is very easy to lean into. It's one of those things. It's a great world building experience.
But Saga, the only problem with Saga is you have to admit it's a little on the racy side. So depending on who your friends are, who you're telling, if my parents went, well, okay, we said that by the time you were in high school, you could read comics, and clearly you're now 40, and you're studying comics. Maybe we should check out what it is that you're checking out. I would not hand my parents, who were born in, before World War II, I would not hand them Saga and go, here, read this.
Oh, God.
But I would hand them Flintstones.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know what I have to say too? One last thing. I love this, Sarge. But when they're doing the little takes on the different stores like Bedrock, Bath and Beyond, and Outback Steakhouse, and little advertisement. If you eat the whole entire python, you get the meal free. I was like,
no vomiting.
I love it. And I still can't forget Tar Pit.
And even with that storyline being so good, they even got in another storyline with the Gazoo, that they're going to destroy their planet if they can't, meet up with their expectations. So,
and that's hilarious. I was laughing out loud at the end of that when you find out, because of course, the Martians are basically, they're racist. It sounds like, they're making decisions on who in the galaxy gets to live and who doesn't. And so they're gonna fly down and test man to determine whether or not they should allow them to live, or if they should just exterminate them now before they become a problem. They're naming all this stuff off. If they're aggressive, if they're blah blah, and we're thinking, oh my God, the Neanderthals, they're warring. I mean, they mention them being aggressive, and they have like a snapshot of Claude the Destroyer, whatever his name is. He's picking up an orange, going, Orange, can you deliver me more? I mean, so he's dumb as nails, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's it's going to be just horrible. How is man going to survive this? And they allow the Great Gazoo to pick who it is that they're going to test, and when you find out who it is they tested, is hilarious. I mean, I
know, right? I was
busting a gut.
I loved him.
Yeah. So just a great book. If you listen to us at all, those of you who watch the show, really you should go and get the book, get the first trade. It is super smart. And like we always say, who would have known? It's the Flintstones. How could it possibly be this smart? But it really, really is. So, it's a shame that the next month is the last issue of it,
but keep in mind, I mean, there is still Snagglepuss, so the writer's still going. Yeah.
I'm crossing my fingers on that one. I'm crossing my fingers it's going to be just as well written as the Flintstones. I mean, what are you guys speculating on that though? Are you getting an inkling that it's going to be well written as Flintstones?
So here's my thing. It's going to be different than the Flintstones because it can't be the same hot take, because what would be the point, right? So clearly the writer is smart. So I have an expectation. I'm excited about to get some sort of smart writing out of it. I like the premise that's been given forth anyway, on it. So, we basically, it's Snagglepuss. So he is a gay playwright of the 1950s during the McCarthy era. So he is going to have to navigate, I must say, the whole that whole climate that was anybody who knows a whole lot, or I'm hoping that they write it in a smart enough way that even if you don't know a lot about the McCarthyism and how it really jacked up show business and the creative side of things during that era, I'm hoping that they'll write it in a way that you can get something out of it, even if you don't know that era very well, that this will kind of open our eyes to that era. So I'm excited, but I'm trying not to overhype it too much in my head to think it has to just blow my mind like the Flintstones has, but I'm hoping it does. But it feels to me like it's more focused. Flintstones is just taking shots at everything that has to do with society and life, right? They're just kind of poking at the absurdity of being a human being in a lot of ways, and the stuff we kind of make up in society and all that kind of stuff. That's what the Flintstones seems to be a lot about. I'm not sure with the Snagglepuss because it's more focused as to what he's doing. It might not be quite as generally subversive as what the Flintstones are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And someone in the chat's mentioning.
Yeah.
Doing
right. Jockio is saying that isn't the Flintstones doing the Jetsons, the team doing the Jetsons? I don't know. I guess. I mean, because wasn't there like a backup story in one of the crossovers that had the Jetsons in it?
Yeah, and I don't remember that being the case in that. So,
that it was going to be something that they were going to do a full series on. Yeah, I don't.
No,
for sure.
I did feel there's going to be a full series, but I think it's someone else. I think it's a different artist and I believe a different writer.
Okay. Here I am. I'm gonna look it up.
But then again, I'm also the same one that thought I could go for a good 6-issue Banana Splits and Suicide Squad. I like that one issue so much. I could go for a mini 6 run on those two.
So I know that was in the Booster Gold Flintstones annual, and that was done by Amanda Connor and Jimmy Pomelani did it.
Right.
I'm not seeing where it's telling me though that there's going to be a series or who's doing it or offhand. So I'll have to look. I'll look that up at some point, and we'll talk more
I thought
about
it ended with a to be concluded in the Jetsons. I think that's how the story ended. So
cool. Well, maybe that's Amanda Connor and Jimmy doing that then too,
right.
along with Harley Quinn, because they read the Harley book too. So
yeah.
But my understanding was I don't know about art wise, but I knew that the writer of the Flintstones was going to do the Snagglepuss one.
Yeah.
For sure.
And the art was different, yeah, because I remember it was kind of a looser feel in the pen work and that. Mm-hmm. So I still like it though. I mean, I'm all for it. So
yeah. Anybody else have any other opinions on the Snagglepuss? What they think it's going to be or whatever? Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what it's going to be like, but I look forward to it, and hopefully it pans out to be just as enjoyable as the Flintstones has been for me.
Mm-hmm. The Flintstones is a special book. It really is. I mean, and I don't say that lightly as far as putting it in this. For me, it's kind of like not the same, but it's kind of like the Vision from Marvel was just such a book that was so far off on its own thing, and it's like its own category of creativity and the storytelling and the craftsmanship that was put in it. Flintstones is kind of the same way. It's just so far. I mean, because it came out at the same time the rest of the Hanna-Barbera stuff was. All the other Hanna-Barbera stuff that I've heard about is kind of hitting the typical marks of those characters from their cartoons. Johnny Quest is doing Johnny Quest type things. Space Ghost is doing Space Ghost type things. the Flintstones, they've taken the kind of cute, simple what the cartoon was and just ratcheted it up to this very, very smart level, and it just elevates it to a completely different kind of a book. So
I am loving. I loved Tom King's Division. That was just bringing it up makes me want to go read it again.
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah.
Why can't Batman be that way though?
I think it's harder when you have a book that you can't just do whatever you want to do with. And I think the Vision, they kind of went. I think the Vision, they went. Basically, as long as you aren't making him a pervert, we'll let you kind of do whatever you want to. So, I think that's a big difference. Whereas Batman, and it being the main Batman title, I just think your hands are kind of tied as far as you can only go so far outside the box. I think. I mean, even Grant Morrison, even his run of Batman wasn't extreme. Not really. Not in comparison to the way Grant Morrison does some other things.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was definitely had Grant Morrison-ness to it, but even it wasn't way out there. So, I think that's part of it. That's what I'm going to say anyway, because
if only we could have those old school, quirky writers like Peter Milligan's Enigma. I mean, when will you ever come across something that's so similar to that? Like after reading Enigma, I was like, what did I read?
Right.
Loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, but even when Peter Milligan wrote Batman, he was not writing that. He wrote a standard Batman story. I just don't think you can do it. I don't think you're allowed. I think enough corporate hands are in the cookie jar. You're not allowed to go that far outside the box. Not on a flagship title. I just don't think you let me do it. So.
You had a story you told me about last time. Sounds so experimental. Remember the one from last week?
Oh, well, yeah, that was a alternate reality. See, that wasn't the main Batman book.
I know, but it sounds so clever.
It was awesome. We're talking from last week. We're talking about the Batman spin-off of the Flashpoint books and whatnot. And that was a book they could kind of do whatever the hell they wanted to do with, because it didn't matter. Because all those Flashpoint stories, when they were being written, didn't matter. Other than at the end of Flashpoint, they were going to start the New 52. That was the only thing that mattered. So the writers could just kind of do whatever the hell they wanted to do, I think. And of course, now DC is going back and touching on stories that were supposed to not matter, really, in the grand scheme of things. They were just supposed to go and it was just supposed to be the vehicle to get to the New 52. And it was supposed to kind of take up space while the regular writers and creators, artists, got time to get ahead of the game on the New 52 coming out. So, Batman issue 22. Are you the only person to read this? Part of the whole Button story. This is the third part of the Button. Whatever. They're on the cosmic treadmill. The cosmic treadmill burns up and crashes. It crashes in the Flashpoint universe. Bruce Wayne Batman gets to have a face-to-face with Thomas Wayne Batman in this. There's almost the ability for them to have a conversation, but not really, because of course they're being attacked by Wonder Woman's people and Aquaman's people, which all of this would mean nothing. And you spend your entire time going, well, why the hell is Aquaman and Wonder Woman from New Themyscira attacking Batman? You'd have no idea unless you know the Flashpoint stuff. Makes no sense to use the Flashpoint stuff, in my opinion, the way they're using it in this, unless you read that whole event thing. It just, to me, it's kind of nuts. I mean, I get it, so it's fine, but I don't get it outside of that. If you start reading at Rebirth, I don't see how this makes any kind of sense at all. Other than it's some reality that now is gone. It's now officially gone. It gets winked out in this story. As they continue to chase the Button, they end up getting while the Batman are fighting the Aquaman and Wonder Woman people, Flash hurries up and in a matter of a minute recreates the cosmic treadmill. They get back on the cosmic treadmill and zip off, and as the dimension is annihilated, and they're back to chasing Reverse Flash. He has the Button in his hand, the comedian's Button, which makes no sense also if you don't know the Watchmen stuff. And even if you know the Watchmen stuff, I don't know that it makes sense. And they're chasing him because he's like, haha, I know something nobody else does. I'll fool them. And of course, Flash and Batman are chasing him, going, "Dude, you die in the Batcave. You need to stop so you don't get killed going to the Batcave." Of course, I don't understand how they know that if they stop him, that isn't what kills him in the Batcave. You know, when you're talking time jump and alternate realities and whatnot, how do they know stopping him doesn't suddenly make him appear in the Batcave dead as a doornail? I don't know. You know, the next issue is in the Flash. I'm assuming that's going to sum up all this, whatever. I don't know what the point was. It doesn't feel earth-shattering. It doesn't feel like it's moving the needle anywhere. It feels like it's giving the creators, the regular creators on the book, time to do something else, you know, to get caught up so they're ahead for the next arcs that are coming, maybe. But yeah.
So is this like Monster Men? Is it like in between every 5 issues, it's a filler for people to catch up?
Maybe, you know, the creators. Tom King is credited for storyline, but this is actually, even though it's the Batman book, it's scripted by Joshua Williams, who does the Flash. He's the regular writer on the Flash. He does the script, so he's doing the actual words. You know, they sat down and hatched out of whatever this whole thing was supposed to be, I guess. But I don't know. I need to watch some other people's videos to see. Maybe I'm just not getting, you know, out of this. I typically don't watch those videos until after the weekend, after I've talked about them, so it doesn't influence my brain. But I'll be watching. I noticed that Luke is in the comments at Gotham Central. I'm guessing he's going to do a video on it. So if he does a video on it, I'll check his out. Joshua Hayes. Anybody who's a Batman fan, you need to be following Joshua Hayes on YouTube. He reads everything Batman, and he reads it down to the, you know, how they dot the I's of Batman books. So somebody else to check out. He may have a different take on the whole thing that's different for me. Because of course I'm coming at this kind of continuously frustrated with the Batman title anyway. So I don't hate it. I'm not finding it lots of fun and not the point. I don't know what the point is, kind of thing. And maybe there isn't really one because it's a superhero comic. I'm hoping the next issue kind of, you know, because we're nowhere closer to anything really. And like I said, this encounter between the two Batmans, I don't really feel like anything really significant, heartwarming, thoughtful came from that experience. And I would have at least have hoped that would have come out of it. I don't know. Or maybe I'm looking at it too cynical. I mean, I do have some conversation, but it doesn't seem like much to me. But
because you were hoping he'd find out about his mother too, didn't you?
No, that was DaCosta. I knew they wouldn't touch that. And no, I wouldn't want to. That'd be horrible. That would be horrible to find out that your parents survived because you're happy about that, but you find out that because you died, it wrecked your parents. I mean, there was kind of a conversation there about that from Thomas Wayne's perspective. I mean, as Batman is leaving and the dimensions being annihilated, he is saying, don't be Batman. When you leave here, don't be Batman. Go live your life. You do not need, because Thomas Wayne understands what it is to be Batman, because he's been his whole life now. And it's really kind of wrecked him. It's made him this cold, bitter, awful person. So there is that, at least in it, where he's telling Bruce, don't be Batman. When you leave here, in this world we lived, and everything's great as far as that goes. So don't let our deaths wreck you. Move past it. Which of course, you know, Batman's not gonna. So yeah. You know, Luke is asking right now if I enjoyed the conversation. There's that little part of it I did. I did like Thomas Wayne going, you know, don't do it, don't throw your life away. That aspect of it I enjoyed. The kind of humming and hawing around it, and we'll talk later because we need to be Batman right now. I don't know. But that was a very small part. That's like 2 pages at most in a 20-page comic book.
So next issue Tom King does will be a happy Batman. He'll put on the yellow Batman outfit and fight crime during the day.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. No, it's actually, I believe it's going to have Swamp. I think that Mitch Charles is doing the artwork. The guy who does Sheriff of Babylon. It's coming back for some more issues, and I think it has Swamp Thing in it.
All right.
So, and the cover I saw of it looked awesome. So I'm excited for that. I liked the issues that the whole cat and bat, calling each other cat and bat. I liked those issues with Catwoman in it that the two of them did together. So that clearly they've got a vibe. Those two creators have something going on with each other. They kind of understand where each other are going with it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited about that next arc. So as far as that goes. So righty. Any other DC books? No? Just me. Okay. On the Gotham thing, we go on with the Nightwing Must Die. This is the final of the Nightwing Must Die arc. It wasn't bad. There were parts of it that confused me. I didn't realize that some of it was kind of, because there's two kind of quasi Nightwings. There's official, Dick Grayson Nightwing, and then there's this guy who calls himself Deathwing. He's a Dollite, which are the things that Professor Pig, he kind of tortures you, reconstructs your face so you look kind of doll-like, and you kind of become a mindless servant of his, that he kind of programs you in a way, and that's how you act. And he programs this Deathwing to mimic Nightwing kind of thing as a terrorist kind of thing. And there's some play between their memories that gets confusing for me. I guess I should have been paying closer attention to the visual art in it to know that it was, who was hallucinating, who was telling the story kind of thing. There's some moments that I was a bit confused by, but I did kind of like the way this ends, because Tim Seeley, the writer, does a good job of continuing the relationship between Damian, Robin, and Dick. Because, of course, when Damian first comes into being a hero, they're still using the pre-52 stuff where for a while Dick Grayson was Batman, and the whole Batman and Robin run. They still use that, which I am happy they do, because that was a really great run of books. Their camaraderie between the two of them kind of learning from each other. Damian having this kind of grudge, about the fact that he is the heir to the bat, not Grayson, even though Grayson's wearing the cowl right now, kind of thing. So Tim Seeley does a good job of capturing that in here too, where their relationship went to. They continue to have some rough moments because Damian is still relatively socially awkward, but Dick does get him to come out of his shell just through their conversations. And so there's some good conversations throughout the book that I did enjoy. And there's more of that in here than like in the Batman book, as far as conversation of pages that are dedicated to that kind of relationship part. So I like that aspect of it. I'm still kind of on the fence as a whole as to whether or not I'm still really enjoying Nightwing. It's kind of lost some of its luster, largely due to the fact I think it coming out twice a month maybe a little too much Nightwing for me. But I have it ordered, I think, clear through the next arc. So I'm making my judgment on whether I'm going to keep getting the book for sure when this next arc starts. That'll tell me, I think, whether or not it's time for me to be done reading a book that I kind of go ho-hum about whether or not. I'm not excited to get it when I get it. It's not a bad book, but I'm just not excited to get it when I get it. And I'm getting so many books now that some of these I'm not excited about books need to get off my pole kind of thing.
So is double shipping starting to wear on you then?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's just hard. I think it's hard to tell a good story with it being shipped that way. It feels sometimes like it's like the stories are stretched even further. And don't we kind of have conversations these days anyway, kind of feeling like, man, you took 5 issues to tell something. It kind of feels like, back in the day could have been told in 2 or 3 issues. Well, it's the same thing with this, except now it feels sometimes even longer. And when I get it every 2 weeks, I don't have time. I mean, I don't have time to forget about the things that maybe kind of annoyed me or bothered or I wasn't impressed about the book, to just remember the fun part. Oh, that part was cool. A month goes by, I remember that cool part, and I pick up the next issue and I read it. As I'm reading, I go, oh, that part's, that's a plot hole or whatever. But a month goes by, I've forgotten about the stuff I didn't care for, unless it's a book that's really bothering me. And I remember the fun parts. Every 2 weeks, about the time I've digested it, I've got the next issue in my hands to start reading it, so it continues to remind me of the parts I don't. And that's just me personally, how I read and whatnot, I think. But yeah, it's starting to wear on me. I've never been excited about the double ship though, with the exception of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is the one book that I've enjoyed because it really feels to me like they're kind of, to some degree, telling two separate stories. So I'm just getting twice the Wonder Woman book. They do have something to do with each other, but they're not literally the same story in every single issue, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The only other DC book I picked up was Superman, which anybody who watched my poll, I'm kind of picking on Superman because Superman, the character, has gone through these changes, and I don't know how I feel about those changes because I was really loving the rebirth Superman, and now he's not exactly the same. Kudos to the writers. They're all writing him like he's not the same because he's not the same character. So that makes sense. I just don't know that I'm digging as much. I really love this issue, mostly because it was largely probably 85% Lois Lane, and her just kind of, everybody's disappearing. So Batman disappears first. Something weird's going on. Superman, Superboy, and Robin go out to look for Batman. They get into a fight with a giant squid last issue, and now they've disappeared. So now she's like going, what the hell's going on? So she's out driving around trying to figure out what's going on. She goes into town. The townspeople aren't acting right. She follows this one reporter woman who she saved a few issues ago. She was injured, but she's walking around like she's fine. She's following her. She follows her down to into like the bomb shelter, the old bomb shelter bunker at Town Hall. And in that bomb shelter are all these like computer screens, and they have all the information on Superman and Superboy, who their secret identities are, everything about them. And she's like, oh, she's starting to freak out. The reporter shows up. She kind of gets into a fight with her and she runs away. Now some of the townsfolk are chasing her. She decides she's going to run back home. She gets back home. The mayor's there. The reporter's there. There's a few other townsfolk that are there. And they're like kind of coming at her. And she's really smart on her, fast her feet. She runs upstairs. She's breaking into the safe. And as she's breaking into the safe, one of these people kind of smashes through the floor, because so they like have superpowers or something, or the robots. I don't know what. And it's like, and he's like saying, what would the wife of Superman need a gun for? As she's opening up her gun safe, and she's like, it's not a gun. And she flips it open and she pulls out that gauntlet. Oh. She still has one of the gauntlets from the Batcave on the moon. Yeah. And she flamethrowers the guy. I mean, just burns his head off, basically, is what it looks like. He falls back to the floor and hits the ground. And he's hurt, but he's not like dead. And he's like, she may be a little more hard to handle than we thought. She's leaping out the second story window. She's trying to get into her car. She can't get into her car. And you hear this, doop, doop, and the Batmobile pulls up because it's cueing to the glove. She jumps into the Batmobile. She tries giving it voice commands. It won't work because she doesn't recognize it. She grabs a little steering wheel and is like, how the hell am I getting out of here? Well, then it connects to the glove, so it lets her drive. So she's racing off in the Batmobile. It was a lot of fun. It was some exciting. It was fun seeing Lois Lane. It's fun seeing Lois Lane as an ass kicker. She was really enjoyable through this thing. And that was a large portion of the issue. So I really had a lot of fun with it, kind of a thing. And it's fun. They kind of keep bringing that glove back. And she keeps secretly carrying it around, kind of thing. And I will also say, Doug Mahnke is the artist on this. He's kind of like the other guy that does the art of Superman when Gleason isn't doing the art. And I am not a Doug Mahnke fan, or I didn't think I was a Doug Mahnke fan. Come to find out, it was just the people I don't know if it was him inking his own work or whoever that other inker was, I have not liked. But Mendoza does the inking on this. I really like it. It's not Gleason, but it's kind of like that. It's not like he's mimicking that, but it's still really good. I really enjoy it. So lots of fun all around. So I'm, at least for an issue, I'm hyped about Superman again. So.
All right.
Yeah. And that is it. That's my DC books, small week for DC books for me. DC news or anything? 28 days to Wonder Woman.
I was going to say the big controversy on is she or is she not getting enough press?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't watch a lot of television that's live. so I fast forward through all the commercials on my
Wow.
DVR. Has there been a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy commercials?
Yes.
There have been. Okay.
And mainly because there's the Dairy Queen tie-in, which normally I'd probably be upset with, but it was done well in the movie too. So I mean, there's just huge pushes that way with all that. And I mean, selling the music, the album, all that stuff. So
Well, here's my other question. It's Wonder Woman. How hard do you have to sell that?
why do they always have to do so much Batman, Superman?
I don't know.
So
I don't know. Because I don't think they have to. Other than that it's there. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy to me, other than having seen the last one, you have to sell that because who the hell are those characters?
yeah,
I mean, there's nobody on that screen except for Groot. There's nobody, maybe Rocky Raccoon. There's nobody on that screen that's like, that I think is everybody universally knows who the hell they are. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. It is weird, right? It is weird. Why aren't they, why aren't there more, ads? I don't know.
because I wasn't aware how close we were until I think I went to the movie theater. Yeah, Guardians, they splashed the big Wonder Woman,
Yeah,
trailer.
June 2nd. So a month from now, basically.
Yeah.
This week, a month from now will be opening. It will be when it opens. So I will be there.
Yeah.
Early
I think
and often.
I think my shop is buying out, and so we'll be going to that.
I heard something about the fact there's like a ultimate Wonder Woman ticket that you can buy that allows you to go see Wonder Woman once a day for the entire run of Wonder Woman.
I did not hear about that.
Yeah, I think somebody's selling a ticket that way. Or if I had that kind of free time and a spare $100, I guess, to go to the movies or something. But hell, by the time you buy popcorn, it is pretty much $100 in these days. So I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I have no idea. I don't know how marketing is and whatnot. For me personally, I know I'm going. I know I'm super excited about it. So I don't need to see 100 commercials. I'm happy to not see 100 commercials. The last trailer they put out, I didn't even bother to watch.
Right.
I already know I'm going to see it. I don't need to see other little bits and pieces of it to, not that it'd wreck it for me, but just I want to see as much of the movie as I can. So
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I can't think of any other DC news. Want to talk some indie books then? Rez, what do you want to talk?
My fave of this week.
Shipwreck. Yes.
Yeah.
Finally back. Was gone for a
I
while.
know,
wasn't
right? Yeah, it was. I was like, what happened to it? But so glad to see it. Currently one of my most favorite sci-fi books. It's so mysterious. Doesn't give you a lot of information at all. Each issue you're always left in the dark, but it just keeps you wanting more. And I think that's a perfect kind of comic. You know, this particular issue, I think we learn more about the situation that occurred on the Janus with Dr. Shipwright. And we learn more about what this device that he imported into himself, that he implanted himself, what is called, that he was referring to it as a porter, which is able to apport him to other worlds. And this other world that he's apported himself to, he runs into another scientist who is trying to create a device that is very similar, if not the same, as the one that he uses within his body. And she's talking to him, and he's like, this is the only world so far that I've come to that I'm actually able to understand and actually had a whole conversation with someone. And I kind of have a bad feeling that something's gonna happen, because he's so taken aback that he's able to communicate with someone to the same degree as in the world that he comes from. Then now he's talking to someone and he's not having any issue in understanding them or them understanding him. And then we also have this thing where we had this one mysterious guy at the very end where he was on the Janus. He's telling them, hey, he let Dr. Shipwright know, like, hey, just don't forget, this is your creation. And then while he's in the ship with them, when they're taking off, when they're getting green to go, and they're apporting from their their world to wherever they're trying to go next, he makes this weird declaration, and then he he emerges, escapes out of there. Like what is the word?
Yeah, he hits the escape pod. He hits the escape pod off the ship and rockets himself away from the rest of the Janus, the ship. So basically, kind of the premise is our main character. He's part of a think tank that's created a device that's going to allow them to basically teleport to a different dimension, a different Earth, because their Earth and all the resources are gone to hell in a handbasket. So they need to find some place else to go and save the entire human race is what they're looking to do from their world. And to start out with, the idea was they were trying to get a blink engine that would allow them to travel across space at a basically warp speed, to use Star Trek terms, to get themselves someplace fast enough that they can find some place that they can establish a new world, because the planet Earth is, clearly we're wrecking it. So they need to get to someplace else. And in the process of doing that, he comes up with this whole, hey, we can do this instead. Forget trying to leap across the Milky Way to find some other random planet to go to. Let's just do this kind of a thing. And so they have this whole program. They create this big ship. They're going to fly there as an initial, get there, test it, and then they're going to move everybody else through kind of a thing. So they're making this daring jump. And while they're making this daring jump, there's this, like Rez said, there's this guy who seems to be already in the know. Like he already knows what's going to happen. He already knows that this guy does this. You should be, Shipwreck, you should be taking full credit for this. You're the stud here. These people are all tag-alongs kind of a deal. And he's, Shipwreck is kind of like, what? Kind of confused as to why this guy's talking the way he is. He's basically talking like somebody whose dimension jumped to there just to experience this first jump. Is that how I interpret it, as seemingly what it is.
I did too. I interpreted it as if he knew what was going on the whole time. Like he came from the world. I feel like he came from another world.
Yeah, and the part where Rez is talking about this other scientist that he runs into, he sees somebody shooting up model rockets, shooting these model rockets up, and they literally, a little black hole kind of place appears, the rocket disappears, and then it comes, popping back out kind of a thing. And so he has this conversation with this woman about it, and the whole A-port, that he actually has this device buried in his side, by the way. We found that out last issue, I think. She's like, oh yeah, this is common. This porting around things common. I'm just trying to get the right balance on this smaller scale. I mean, so the world he's on right now, it's like space flight. It happens fairly regularly. I'm just fine tuning it. And I mean, she's fine tuning it on literally, I'm going out with model rockets like you buy at the hobby store and trying to tweak it to make it work better kind of a thing. So I'm really enjoying it. Phil Hester's artwork is always great in it. Warren Ellis creates a smart story. There's these other kind of odd aspects of, him waking up in this place and having a weird conversation about these food that's out of a vending machine, and the drink is rabbit drink, and he actually drinks it and it tastes pretty nasty, and he has a conversation with like a television.
Yeah.
He has a asking if it's really rabbit. There's not really rabbit in this, right? I mean, because it's like all chemicals. So it's got weird Warren Ellis kind of stuff in it and stuff. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I wish it would come out quicker, because there was quite a healthy gap between issue 3 and this one. So to some degree, it's felt like some of the momentum of the story has dropped out of it. I will enjoy going back and reading the whole thing again. I'm sure. So
I've done that where I've gone, like every issue I've gone back and reread the previous issues just so I know that I didn't miss something, because this is the kind of comic that you do read in single issues and you kind of feel like you're missing something.
Yeah, I don't. Do we have any idea how long this is?
I had no idea. I was assuming it's going to be like an ongoing, but you know how usually when Warren Ellis things go ongoing and then they kind of disappear.
Well, I don't know how it could be. I mean, Phil Hester does a lot of our stuff. I mean, he writes books too. I mean, I have another book this week that he wrote, because he writes Blood Blister, for instance. So I was just curious. I mean, I know he does some of the backup artwork for the backup story in Mother Panic. He does the art in that too, and somebody else inks it. So I don't know. No, I'm digging it. I mean, it's definitely a great Warren Ellis book. So digging it for that, for sure. Alrighty, Mike, you pick anything up this week?
Yes, Manifest Destiny. So this is issue number 28. The one that's
hanging in the Dakotas, right?
Yep. They've made their fort, but now there's this fog that's coming in, and it's making everybody hallucinate to either see ghosts or the monsters they've already encountered. Even other Native American tribes. Clark has had a past where he has had to eliminate tribes in certain areas, and so he sees one, and Sacagawea sees the person who trained her but abused her, and it's each other. So they are attacking each other, seeing somebody different. Sacagawea, of course, is also pregnant while she's doing all this,
right?
And so they're trying to figure out how to stop him. Lewis is the only one who is immune, and he's even talking to this other lady who sees a ghost. And so he's trying to feed her all these different herbs to figure out which is the one that stopped him from hallucinating. So it's good. We see a lot of interaction. At the end, there's a big fire that's consuming the building because somebody freaked out and set fire to it. And then
it's winter, right?
Yeah, a winter's coming.
So they got their fort built, ready to survive winter, and someone's burning it down. Okay.
Yes. Yep. The last part is, though, too, they see a monster creature at the very end, and of course the problem is it a hallucination or is it a monster? Because they've been fighting monsters this entire time. So it's very interesting to see where this is going next. So what is it about the North Dakota air? What is about the Dakotas? What's in the air, Mike? Allergies, you know how it is. Yeah, it's just a form of it. We have it worse here than you guys have it.
Blowing off the planes, huh?
Yep.
Cool. I think it's fun that the book's kind of in your neck of the woods now. I hope it makes it. I hope it makes it to my neck of the woods, because I do plan on picking those issues up once it. Especially depending on how close they get, because I literally live, within a rock's throw of supposedly where they literally went through at. I mean, so yeah. I live in a town that's named after one of them. So there you go. So
and that is the only thing is, as it was coming, I'll admit I picked it up because of the idea. I mean, Lewis and Clark Trail is the big thing here, and the river runs through, and so we got all this stuff. So I thought I'd pick it up. I can't wait for them to get to me. They are, but of course it only says, it's the Lakota Indian tribe, and technically they didn't even call it that. It was a sub-tribe of the Lakotas. So I actually had to look it up because I wasn't sure if they were in Iowa and Nebraska, and basically they're right in that area, right where it touches South Dakota. So it's as close as they're going to be able to say that it is near me. So
right. And I feel that's what it'll be, that's what it'll be for me too, unless they pick some significant marker in the area that allows it to be something else, kind of a thing. That's what's going to be here, or they run into a specific tribe. That'd be the only way I would know too. Yeah.
And geographically, I mean, they kept mentioning certain areas. Of course, there's no towns, so they can't even mention that. But there's also the Arch that we know from St. Louis that they find originally, and there's monster. It ties in with the monsters and all the supernatural, but now they keep finding them. So of course, unless they mention something geographically that's very unique to your area, it's going to be tough. So
sure. So how do you know? Yeah, for sure.
It's the plains. All the plains look the same. So
they do to me when you're driving through them anyway. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's why people refer to us as the Dakotas or flyover territory.
Right. Cool. let's see. I want to talk. Oh, I'm going to talk a new book. I'm going to talk The Damned.
Ooh.
My dollar comic for Oni Press.
Dollar bill, yo.
So I don't see how you can walk away from a dollar comic, a new comic. So done by Cullen Bunn, Brian Hurt, Bill Crabtree, the great guys who brought us The Sixth Gun. Anybody who read that, I really love that. I love their vibe, their feel, their look. So was excited to pick this up. I don't actually have the trade because they did a mini series for Oni Press quite some time ago. And that's just came out in a new printing of a trade. I have not picked it up yet. I kind of want to, because I think it would probably tell me a little more about who these people are. Not that I felt like I needed that at all for this number one. We're set in the, I don't know, 20s, 30s kind of era, right?
Yeah, just after Prohibition, I'm thinking.
Right. So, does it actually say that it's Chicago? I don't know that it does. Okay, so it definitely has that feel, even if it doesn't. Just the background stuff that they show. This kind of stuff. The subway that's raised above ground, that always reminds me of Chicago. Kind of stuff and whatnot. And there are demons. We know there are demons. They run some of the gangs and that sort of thing. Not everybody knows there's demons clearly, because people don't see the demons unless something is special about you to see the demons, is the impression I got. And it's a couple crime families kind of doing their thing. And this, our main character, who's running a club that's supposed to be demon free, he can see the demons. He's not a demon himself, but he's cursed in some way that he, if he gets a fatal wound, he can touch somebody else and pass that fatal wound off onto them, and then he lives again, kind of a thing. So he's immortal in that sort of a sense. So and we get to see that kind of play out a little bit in this issue. So we get to see how that part works of it and whatnot. I just really like it. I like the ambiance of it. Don't know exactly where the story's going to go. He has some friend or acquaintance that he knew back in the day has suddenly showed back up. He seems to be kind of a grifter, kind of a gambler, kind of a gets himself into all kinds of trouble kind of a person. And so that's the suspect is the was he got himself in trouble too. And by the end of it, we find out that he isn't a loser. He actually won something, and that winning is going to get him in some sort of trouble. Right?
Yeah.
What'd you guys think?
Did you get an impression that the scars on his face, or maybe other cuts that he suffered, that he survives, but he still runs with them because it's like the multiple lines on his face?
Right. That's definitely possible. I don't know, because they don't hint at that, at all. I'm curious to see if the trade maybe would have told us that. But yeah.
When I read this, the first thing I thought of is it reminded me of that book I'm reading from IDW, Darkness Visible.
Sure, because the alien kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, because of the demon alien thing, and then mixed in with a little bit of Weavers from Boom Studios, and then last but not least of that one, the other Boom Studios book we were reading, The Damned or something like that, where the girl was dying and she able to come back to life.
Right.
It felt like a fusion of all three of those comics to me. I like the feel of it, and the writing was really good, and it was because there was a lot going on, but it felt cohesive, and it felt again well written. I don't know. I don't know if I'll keep going on with it, because it's something about it doesn't seem unique. I did like it.
Okay, Mike.
I thought his interaction also with the other people that were cursed or sold their souls, the lady who has the information but seems to be bleeding everywhere.
Right.
I thought the characterization was good. I mean, it's such a different style than what I've seen before. You've seen, if you watch Angel or Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the demons interacting. So I mean, I was expecting quite a bit of that, but this I thought was a nice take on it. I didn't instantly say seen it, done it, already read it. So I liked it.
Yeah, I also was really into the book because I really like Brian Hurt's artwork. I like his style. I like the way he does people. I mean, to me, it's immediately recognizable as his work, but these people, I don't look at it and go, oh, there's some of the, they look like the characters from the Sixth Gun. I mean, the style is the same, but all these characters look like their own characters. I mean, I don't look at somebody and go, oh, that's Drake Sinclair, or that's, Becky Murncroft, or, those other characters from that, from that long run that went 50, plus
Right.
issues. So really happy about that. I like the fact, they all have their own look. I mean, here's a woman who's, hippie, she's not as in Haight Ashbury, but she's got curves and stuff. And so I just like that stuff about it is that everybody doesn't have the same body type, I mean, and it's caricatures. I mean, it's a cartoon type work. I know some people, when they hear that, they think I'm saying something bad. That's certainly not the case. It's just, he isn't attempting to draw something purely lifelike. But the caricatures all work in that, giving us the emotion that we need out of the characters. You see people's faces and whatnot. You have an understanding of what their place is and what their feelings are, in the eyes, expression in the eyes, and all that kind of stuff. So I just, I enjoy it for that. For me, I'm not like totally blown away, but I'm really excited to see where the book's going to go to. And I'll give these guys, great cover for the next issue. I will give these guys a lot of running space because I'm a huge Sixth Gun fan. And I have to tell you, it wasn't until like issue 4 or 5 that I was totally on board with that book. I liked the first issue, and then I kind of went, I don't know where this is going. And then like issue 4 or 5 hit, and then I was blown away and loved it all the way through the rest of the way and whatnot. So I because of that experience, I'm also willing to give them a little more breathing room as far as, does it have to, punch me in the face immediately or not? So
The coloring, I also thought, did a really good job because there was a lot of muted parts. Like in the club, it's browns, it's grays, but then like the blue of the bleeding lady's eyes, the popping of red in the lady's the singer's dress, or the blood. I mean, those are some good things. The only other thing is so when you're talking Sixth Gun with the artwork, I know you own some pieces. This, I guess, issue, I didn't feel there was any pops, no double spreads, no artwork that I really thought was, that made me realize it was hurt immediately until I went back and realized both of them were from the Sixth Gun. Was that something that like it took a couple issues for you to find a piece of artwork that was amazing, or?
Yeah, I mean, I like his artwork in general. I think he's a really good storyteller as far as the panel work goes, and to create panel work for the pacing and all of that sort of stuff. Was there like a page or a huge splash page that blew my mind? I think I own it. I think I own the first one, and that was almost 7-8 issues in. I think to get a big picture kind of a thing. I think because I was talking with somebody else about this. Let's see if I can find it real quick. That there was a page that I thought this double page spread to me, I thought was an excellent double page spread. Big, huge open scene here, sets the speakeasy club kind of atmosphere, kind of a thing. Clearly the more color is focused on her, so she pops out in the background. They're singing, and then this, we get him moving through the crowd of people appreciating him just checking her out, her singing. And so they split. These panels are all the same size. They split this panel down to 2 to give us that her winking at him kind of a thing. And then this panel where, of course, they lose. It's off the thing. To me, that's interesting storytelling, because without you realizing it, he is controlling the pace of how quickly you're reading this page and taking the time to check out something before clearly something's up here at the end and whatnot. I mean, so for me, that's great artwork. But I understand what you're saying, Mike. If you're looking for the big pow kind of a moment, and there maybe isn't really that in this issue. I think to some degree, because chunks of it are informative, And when it gets informative, like trying to give us kind of a back history to catch up with whatever, to explain something that maybe we might have also known if we've read The Damned, sometimes the paneling gets quicker for that kind of a thing. So
All right.
I really dug this page too, where we get this whole kind of hinting at what his curse is. So clearly in some other realm, there is a monkey creature of some sort walking around with all these boxes and chains. Is that his curse? That's his critter curse that's dragging around? I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good creepy monkey.
Alrighty. What else? Any other books you want to talk about? What you got? Paper Girls.
I loved it.
Yes. Such an excellent book.
Yes. And tons of time travel, as you know. I'm a sci-fi freak.
Yeah.
But I like this because we actually now see the interaction between that one scientist, explorer who went back, I guess, who went in past or future. Again, we don't know. Yeah. she goes back and then she encounters KJ, other girls, and she's like, well, what are you little girls doing here? I'm not the first. That was the first thing she said.
Oh man, I'm not the first. You just hear, you could literally, the way it's written and whatnot, the look on her face, you could literally, the disappointment and God, I wasn't even the first one to hear. It's like, oh man.
I know, right? I was thinking the same thing. I was like, damn.
Yeah, this little whisper. Yeah, look at that face. And this little whisper of I wasn't even the first. I mean, she just about got killed. These Neanderthal guys that are wearing all kinds of weird crap are going to shove her head through like a rip in the dimensional, fabric of reality. She's saying prayers to all these gods that she doesn't believe in, or acted like she doesn't believe in because she just knows she's going to be dead. She survives that, and then she finds out, God damn it, she wasn't even the first time traveler here.
Yeah, I love that part, and I loved how that one girl was like, she's determined to like not actually, because she's like, I don't want it to come true. You can tell she's hesitant about kissing. What's her name?
Oh right, yeah, she's gonna kiss Mac. Yeah,
she's gonna kiss Mac, and she's really scared about it because she's like, oh my God, she's like, it's all she's thinking about. Like she's getting chased by these barbarians, these savages, and she's thinking about kissing the girl. Yeah. Like I'm like,
there she is running away. And as she's running away, all she can think about, she's running, right? And she's like, it's like, I'm gonna kiss Mac, because in the last issue she touches this machine and it gives her a flash of the future, and she's making out with our kind of tomboyish cigarette smoking, gonna die of some sort of lymphoma sort of thing, in the near future, kind of a deal of their normal reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then suddenly she's gonna be kissing her. Yeah. Well, what did you think of it? So she's being chased, and she's like, keeps asking, why would I kiss a ... question mark? And then she has to jump across this chasm. Of course, she's wearing these space boots that she took off one of their time machines, and of course it helps her leap across the chasm.
Yeah.
Lands on the other side. She lands on the other side, and she looks and she goes, oh, that's why. No. You gotta give me more than that. Come on. What do you mean? Oh, that's why.
I was like, what? That's why what? Like, please, I need, and that's this about the book that gripes me a little bit. It's just like, please, why are you leaving me in such suspense? Why? Give me all the deets I need to know.
Right.
But
right?
goodness gracious. And I'm telling you, from the moment I picked up the first trade, because I was so behind. Like I picked up the trade, I had to go and find back issues for it was 6 and 7, so I can get on. But let me tell you, when I read the first trade, I was like, oh my God, this is so damn good. Like it took me literally 30 minutes to read the whole trade. I was like, I love this. I ran through it. I just, this is such a great series. Like all of it that's happening, and then even the last bit with the girl, the girl who she was explaining what happened with her and the guys, how apparently 3 of them got on top of her and she said took the seat of 3 men to impregnate her, and then the strongest one is the one who gets to take the baby, and she doesn't believe in that tradition. She thinks, and I like how they, even though she's speaking a totally different language, and they have that translator bracelet on her, the language that she's using sounds so relevant to how they speak. It's Like, even or the way and the mannerisms of how she speaks is very very similar to how they speak as well. It comes off very similar. And I like that, because even though they're from different times completely, that it just, I don't know, it just corresponds in a way where it's just very, I guess, techno agey friendly or 21st century friendly speech, I guess.
For sure. There's all kinds of little weird little nuggets in the book of just kind of strange stuff. I mean, so the scientist woman was born in 88, right? Or no, 2016.
2016, yeah.
So I wonder, is she somehow related to these 4 girls?
Maybe she's the baby of Mac and KJ.
I don't know. I just think I'm just suspect that somehow these people are all kind of.
Yeah, right. Because they were born in the 80s. She
Yep.
was born in 16. They became adults.
Yep. Could be.
And raised it. Oh my God, could be. I mean, does she kind of favor Mac?
Well, yeah, but now things are really weird. I mean, the two of them are kind of together. I mean, because they were off running around doing their own thing. So now I don't know. Well, the thing that's going to be really interesting, and what I love about it is, these characters are from 1988.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of 1988 mannerisms. I mean, the things that they're gullible about or naive about, I mean, and I don't know how this reads to people who are considerably younger than me. But how 1988 was, what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable. I mean, the idea now of kissing a girl, I mean, that's pop songs, right? Katy Perry. Whereas in 88, I'm not saying it didn't happen because clearly it did, but anywhere I was, and granted, I'm not in some big city or whatever, everything was very closeted. It was not, I'm not, like I said, I know it was a thing, but it wasn't anything it wasn't part of a normal conversation.
Plus,
I mean, it
were
was
we coming off of the AIDS scare. I mean, it wasn't that
not
also
coming off of it. We were in it. We were in the middle of it, and it certainly wasn't girls kissing. It was, it was clearly all guy thing at the time. It was, and if you were gay, that means you're going to be dead of AIDS at any moment kind of thing was kind of the pretext seemingly because it wasn't until about 80, 89 that they really started, 88, 89, 90 that I remember correctly, that they really start getting the information out that was a little more realistically as to what was happening as opposed to the everybody's preconceived. So there's all these kind of elements that are in it that are great. Brian K. Vaughan does a really good job of remembering what that time was like and giving these girls that perspective. I mean, they come at things from that perspective. They're great girls, though. I mean, they're relatively open-minded about stuff. I mean, they kind of go about things and whatnot. It's hilarious, the constant. I mean, because last issue we found out that our girl that saw, I can't remember her name right offhand, that saw saw herself kissing Mac. She's also having her experience with her first period. So that's still playing through here because these girls are kind of naive about that whole thing. They haven't been given all the talks yet, kind of a deal, and haven't experienced all of that. So, Mac just thinks that everything she does is crazy and suicidal because, hey, that's what you do when you're on your period, because she decides that she's going to run off. She's going to attract the Neanderthal guys to chase after her so they can go and rescue the scientist. The rest of the girls can rescue the scientist. And they're like, and the other girl's like, why is she doing that? Oh, because she's on her rag, and that's what crazy women do when they're on the rag.
Time of the month. Remember, she said it's the time of the month, and you're like, we don't even know what year it is.
Right. Yeah, right. That's right. Because they don't get it. Because they don't understand what she's talking about. Yeah, that's right. Matt goes, because it's that time of the month. And one of the other girls is like, but we don't even know what year it is. What do you mean month? It's just funny. So there's some, good, great, serious stuff in it. So brilliant Cliff Chiang artwork, of course, in it. I know that, I mean, before I'd even gotten my issue, I had watched, dang it, I can't remember his name now. I'm horrible today. Another YouTuber was talking about this cover, and if you look at the cover really closely, it blurs down here. like she's in a, she's gritting her teeth like she's in the rocket, starting to take off. Just really cool artwork, that little bit of blur and whatnot to give it that sense of motion, like she's lifting off in a rocket. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Mike, you got any other books?
To build on that, I from Image Comics have I Hate Image. For those who enjoyed I Hate Fairyland and love that Scotty Young artwork. What was that, Rez?
I love Scotty Young.
I mean, this is like one, free comic book day, self-contained comic. It was very good. And then to build on what you were just saying with the Paper Girls, you can see them down there where she's involved with them. And of course, they're saying, like, I love the Goonies. Nah, Monster Squad was way better. Family Ties, Pee-wee's Playhouse, Garbage Pail, Tang. And they're like, what are they talking about? They're like, oh, they just have to make these references. So.
Oh my God! Why did I have that? Why did I get?
That's awesome. So you just basically picking on all the other Image stuff, huh? That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, because she has to keep going through everybody's land. So I mean, she goes through Chew. You can see East of West in there.
Black Science.
Yeah, Black Science. It's even in black and white for your Walking Dead, with Rick Grimes. So. And it's current with the storylines. Like, she gives Rick Grimes his missing hand. And,
this is awesome.
And they go to a 90s club where she yells, 90s suck. And then you could see, all the old young blood.
Right.
Double page spread right here with, of course, all that, she has to battle all of them. It was just good. And, of course, it ends much like the Deadpool-esque feel where she gets to Image Studios, and then you see, Kirkman and everybody around the table. I did not see Kelly Sue DeConnick in here. It was all guys. So, just give a quick. Yeah, there you go. So there's the partners is what they're called. So,
That's awesome.
It was just good. I mean, it was good fun. Beautiful Scotty artwork, and it told the whole storyline. So. What more can you ask for a free comic book day?
That's cool. And that's cool that it's original content for free comic book day. Because lots of times, a lot of the free comic books are basically reprints of something else they're trying to get you to buy into, kind of a thing. So that's cool. That's some good fun. Right on. All righty. Let's see. I want to talk about this really quick. I don't know. Blood Blister, issue number 2.
Yeah, I read that.
Did you?
Yeah.
How do you feel? I'm still not feeling this book.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so, last issue he got to a haunted house and freaks out because like the devil's there or the devil's there, telling him how bad hell's going to be and whatever. This issue takes off with him still there. And then informing him that people just don't understand. I mean, people have a lack of imagination when it comes to hell. And they kind of go on to tell you just how bad hell can really be, kind of a thing. And then he kind of snaps out of it, whatever the hell that was about. I don't know. And then he kind of goes on to back to living his life. He's got this blood blister in his arm that he squeezes out and like teeth falls out of it and that sort of stuff. Literally, he's squeezing it and like molars are popping out of his arm.
It was so freaky.
And he has a closet now that is full of plastic bags of ooze that he has squeezed out of this blood blister on his arm. He goes to the doctor. The doctor's like, it's just a big blood blister. It's no big deal. Here's some ointment and here's some antibiotics so you don't get infected. And they're like, and he's like, can you hallucinate when you're that way? Well, only if you get septic. And you're not anywhere close to septic. He leaves the place. The secretary of the doctor's office gives him a card to some holistic, help place to some holistic doctor kind of a thing.
Holistic.
Yeah, right. In quotes. Yeah. That's really kind of it. He's in trouble at the lawyer's office because somebody is making the sales that he should have made. And he's struggling with raising his, getting to see his son. He's a divorced person and his wife is moving away. And that's really kind of what's there, right? I mean, it still doesn't really give us an idea of where is this story going? What's the drive? I mean, other than he's got this thing on his arm.
Exactly. That's how I'm feeling. Like when I read this, I'm like, okay, get to the blood blister part. Like, and then it was so weird seeing all that blood, the bags of blood and stuff. that was kind of freaky, and it just none of it. It's not cohesive. This is one comic that it reads like it's all these different segments and ideas together to make a story that's to me that reads really well.
Yeah.
And believe me, I have so much hope. Like I really want to support Phil Hester because I really love his illustrations on Shipwreck. But this book for me, the illustrations don't match the story. One, I don't feel like it fits really well.
And see, I even think that Tony Harris is a good artist.
Me too.
But I don't think his paneling. I don't know. This paneling work doesn't really do anything for me. This stuff. I don't know what that's supposed to mean as far as other than to make the pictures smaller because the gutters are so intense. I don't know what that's supposed to do for me. Visually, I don't know. I don't know what this is supposed to. If you're gonna do odd, I'm assuming this is like windows of the subway, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. If you're gonna do fancy stuff with the paneling, it has to mean something to the picture. If you're gonna make it look like that, that means it should somehow correlate to the story. I would think. I don't know. I've read a few comics, but maybe I'm wrong. But I just don't know. I don't know. I was curious about the hitchhiker woman with the gnarly, ugly face at the end of it with all the guns.
Yeah.
I was kind of curious about that, but here's the next cover for the next issue. I'm not ordering this. I'm done.
I think I dropped it already. I'm done too. It's sad. It's only 2 issues, and you're already like, ugh. I just when I read it, I felt like I could have read something else. Like I could have read something on my TBR. That's how I felt like after reading this. I said, "What the hell did I read this for?"
Yeah. Right. And it's not that Phil Hester can't write. I read other stuff. I really like Mythic. I love Mythic. Mythic was a hoot. It was an absolute blast to read and whatnot. This just, I don't know. I just, I don't.
He's so unlikable, isn't he? So unlikable that you just don't care.
Well, yeah. Why do we have a sympathy? This is a guy he's basically a lawyer for like the chemical companies or that sort of stuff. So after the big company has dumped some radioactive crap into the ground and it's killing everybody, he goes in and basically convinces you to sign a piece of paper that basically, clears them of any responsibility, even though everybody knows that they've done this kind of thing. Or he swindles people out of land. The land's worth millions of dollars and he tricks them somehow into selling it for $100, whatnot. He's that kind of a lawyer. So you kind of really want this bloodmister to blow up and take him out. So I don't know, there's no sympathy there, even a little bit with his kid. He's not even doing a good job of putting in real effort there. He's kind of gives some pity party. Oh, I try to be there when he's not really. He hires his secretary to go out and park his car out at the ball field and act like he's there watching him from his car. And he's not even fun to dislike. I read other books with a character. I don't think in like another an Image book, Kill or Be Killed, the main character in Kill or Be Killed, he's not a great guy either, but there's something appealing about rooting for him. There's nothing to appeal to root for this guy.
Or like Negan, another Image series where Negan is absolutely horrible. People love him though. It's.
I don't. I hate that dude.
I'm not a fan of Negan either, but I'm just saying, people go wild over Negan.
You're right. Oh yeah, definitely. He is a fan favorite. There's no doubt about it. As far as bad guys go, but he isn't the main character.
Yeah.
He isn't the main character. This is the main character, and he's despicable. There's nothing about him to like
at all.
So am I supposed to be reading the book to see just how jacked up he's going to be? Okay, I could see maybe getting behind that, but they're not doing a good job and a good enough job of that either. So
exactly. I don't care about the book anymore.
Yeah, more than likely when issue 3 comes, if it comes on a week that's a heavy week, it probably won't get read.
I almost didn't read this, honestly. I read it because I felt like I wanted to read all my books this week, which I did. But I could have went without it, to be honest.
Yeah, I hear you. So what do you want to talk about? Pick something you want to talk about, Russ.
Okay. Slasher. Yeah, issue number 1. This was freaking crazy. Like, it was so undergroundish. Let me tell you, like I was saying it in my video when I was unboxing. I was like, this someone needs to tell Terrence like Comic Crack about this because this would be right up his alley.
Yeah.
Or you just love this whole feel of it, and I love the feel of it. It's crazy. Like it reminds me of like very Daniel Klaus-esque mixed with who else does it remind me of? Who else influenced? It just the illustrations in here are really really nice. We start off with this one character. I believe her name is Christina, this woman on the cover, and we see her in the office with her boss, and she works at a grocery store, and he's saying to her, you know, this is kind of a casual meeting that we're having for employee performance report, and you know you're doing really well, you're very silent, you're kind of shy like, but I think you need to open up a little bit, and I can help you with that. He's pretty much sexually harassing her. He called her in his office, yeah, and he's giving her a massage on her shoulders, telling her how he thinks they can make a good team, but she can't tell anybody else about it, and maybe they can have a date later on. And she feels so disgusted. She goes home and she just cuts all her freaking hair off, like just cuts into this very very short erratic style, like very, it looks, you know, just crazy. And so she goes home. She goes to her mother's house to visit her. Her mom tells her, you know, sweetie, your dad. They tried everything they could, but the Lord's taken him away. He's gone. And, you know, I guess it just kind of center on this, you know, like, I want to say it's center on this kind of upset or anything, but, you know, you could tell it just made her a little bit even more erratic to the point where she goes home to masturbate to slasher porn. Like this is guy slashing himself with a knife.
Wow.
And we learn that this guy and her have interaction with each other, and that they apparently know each other on a certain level. And they're talking and interchanging. Apparently, this young man who slashes himself, who makes the porn videos of him slashing his tongue and slashing his chest with a huge knife. Apparently, he has a mother who wants him to be sick. She starves him. She locks him in his room, starves him, so that he's so skinny and frail. He has a very frail frame. She tries to make him take medicine. She actually takes him to the doctor and tries to make them declare him as sick. He's not really sick. He's pretty healthy, except the fact that he's malnourished, clearly. But she's like, well, he needs medicine for pain. I swear he has the. Are you saying I'm a liar? And he's like, no, ma'am, I would never think to call you a liar. You know, well, and she's like, he called her Miss, Miss, like, MRS, Miss. And she's like, that's Miss so-and-so. And she's like, his father was a war vet, and he died for our country, going on this little rant. And so the doctor felt kind of tired of her, and he gave her, he's like, I'll just give you some medicines, whatever, just to shut her up. And we go home, we find out that his home life is just even worse. Like, she just, like I said, she locks him in his room. He's texting back and forth with his girl, Christina, and she got him a present, apparently. It was this creepy freaking mask, like this mask. Let me show you, because you like, what the hell? It was so freaking crazy. She gives him this mask and tells him to put it on and send pics to her. And so he does, and his mom comes in and catches him and slaps the crap out of him and tells us, I knew it. So, I knew the Lord told me that I should never give you a phone, and locks him in his room. And then we later on see the girl Christina. She's at her father's wake, and she runs to an old high school friend that she apparently doesn't really like very much. They decide to go to a bar. Decide to go home with a random guy, and they go to his house. They get a little freaky, and she says, "Hey, do you have any ties? Like any ties?" He's like, "Yeah." And he shows where the ties are. She ties them up, and then she starts slashing him. Yeah. It's crazy. Let me tell you that.
What's the company of this book?
The company is, let me see, World Comics. It's $4.99. And here's the side that really reminded me of a Daniel Klaus illustration. Look at that. Tell me that does not look very Daniel Klausy, and or either Charles Burns. But the guy's name is Charles Forsman. I liked it a lot. I know it's crazy, creepy, and eerie, and But it was good. It was good. It was like, whoa, what's going on here? And like, I'm glad I ordered 2 and 3.
Yeah.
The solicits that just passed, you were able to order issue number 3.
Cool. It's definitely one of those kind of train wreck kind of a books where you watch it because you just want to know exactly how bad it's gonna get.
Yeah. I'm waiting for her to go slash it crazy on her boss. That
Yeah, but she's not into him, so I mean, clearly
Well-
she's doing the slashing thing because it's a turn on, right? Not because she's trying to. Yeah.
Yeah, but I figured she probably would somehow get into some situation where she does actually go to the boss's house or whatever, vice versa. Then something crazy happens.
I guess we'll wait and find out what you have to say.
Yeah,
Sounds intense.
it is.
I'm going to read it. Let's talk about a nice, wholesome book.
So
So
leave it to me to bring the crazy.
of course, it's awesome. Not for me, but it's awesome. So Faith, issue number 11. She basically in this issue she gets jumped by the Faithless. Finally, the Faithless catch up to her. They're basically all the bad guys that she's beat up until this point. They've all kind of gotten together and they're going to finally take her down. And part of their goal of taking her down is they make it look like she's awful. I mean, they have her basically, they do an illusion and make her look like she gunned somebody down. So the people of LA and Hollywood think that she's a bad guy. The cops think she's a bad guy. And she's going to have to try and figure out how to get herself, out of this situation. There's some cool conversation in here about her talking about how, she created the secret identity just so she could kind of, originally just so she could kind of have some downtime. Not that she's really trying to hide, but just, if I have the secret identity, people don't know who I am. And then I can just do normal things like go to the movies or whatever that having people freak out that I'm there, kind of a deal. And then she kept using the secret identity because it was kind of protecting her friends, the people she wanted to just hang out with that weren't superheroes. If they saw, Faith, the superhero, hanging out with these people, that makes them targets. So that's when she needs the secret identity to hide because everybody's hunting for her. I mean, the cops are out for her. Everybody's out to get her. The classic, oh no, the authorities have been turned against her kind of a thing and whatnot. So it's been fun. It's a fun book. It's a good laugh. It's a kind of an uplifting kind of a superhero book in a lot of ways and stuff. So it's just some fun. There's some great dialogue between the villains because the villains are all corny in their own way. I mean, the cat is one of the villains and the cat gets billing over Murder Mouse is what this character, he has a big mascot mouse like what Mighty Mouse. It's kind of a knockoff of Mighty Mouse kind of thing, mascot head that he wears. And he goes by Murder Mouse, except he doesn't want to go by Murder Mouse. His name is like Jerry, and so when they go, Murder Mouse is going to get you. And he's like, he'll rip the helmet off and go, I have a name. I have a real name. Why don't you just use my, you get up and all this other kind of crazy, so that's just funny stuff. So it's just a fun, just kind of a fun book. I enjoy it. It's one of the Valiant books that I read and I like it. I like the fact that occasionally it mentions there's other stuff going on in the Valiant universe, but it's nothing that goes on in this book is pendant on that. I mean, anytime there has been a Valiant character in this that's in something else, they do a good enough job of explaining who they are that you don't have to know what else is going on, because Archer's in it occasionally, he's a sometimes boyfriend. And I don't know anything about the Archer and Armstrong really, but he's fine in this book when he shows up in it and whatnot. So, so as long as they don't get weird and decide to have the Ninjaku guy or Bloodspot come charging through the book, because those characters are dark and vicious, radical type characters, which would not match up with the vibe of this book at all. So as long as that doesn't happen, it's gonna be fun. Of course, there's a dream sequence in here. Every issue has some sort of dream sequence where her kind of idyllic way of working things and stuff is always fun and whatnot. It's just a fun light superhero book that just really do enjoy the character and whatnot. So
glad to hear that one took legs and that it worked out well for you, because I know that we talk about marketing wise, sometimes books are focused this way or that way, but
Right.
it sounds like it's a fun book for everybody.
It is. It really is. One of the cool things, one of the cool things, like clearly Faith is a plus size woman. That's never, it's just never part of the conversation really. Now, maybe at some degree that's a disjustice. I don't know. Because in our society that it's never as, I don't think it's ever as simple as that. Being a plus size person, it does not work. It doesn't work out that way. So I don't know. I mean, I guess there's an argument to say that they should address that at some point, maybe or not. But I don't think that they need to. I just think it's great that there's this woman who looks like a normal person and doesn't look like a supermodel and does all the same stuff that everybody else does, and whatnot. And she's just lots of fun because the nerdy embrace thing that she has going on and whatnot. So yeah, it is really cool that it went the 4-issue miniseries that sold well enough that they chose to spend some time and continue with the book and whatnot. I have no idea how realistically it sells. I assume it's doing decently or it wouldn't have made it 11 issues, so yeah. And
that always makes me.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just going to say, as you're talking about her, it always made me think of Peter Dinklage in the X-Men movie, how they just never mentioned anything about it, just let him play a character.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about his height or anything. So
Right. I mean, it still has like a dozen variant covers.
yes.
And I would think that would quit too if it wasn't selling. You wouldn't be making, because like I said, I think there's like 4 variant covers at minimum for every single issue of it. And I don't know if all the Valiant books are that way. All the Valiant books have multiple variant covers, and so this is just part of that.
No,
Or
the Renegade one, they only have one.
okay. So yeah. So I'm that's I think that's pretty. I think it's cool. I said it's a fun book.
But the other one too, the Premier League one, that one has a lot of covers. But usually the more the covers go up in like incentive.
Right, they're incentive covers as opposed to where most of the Faith covers are all the same price. They're just you just have different options as to which one you want to do. So yeah, okay, cool. What else? What else we talk about?
Let's see. This was another fave of this week. Arato.
Oh, right on.
Lion Forge. It's issue number 1. It's a 6-series dystopian series, and this issue was called number 1 Real, which was the main character in here. He's some sort of I don't know what he is per se right now, but apparently he was he's from a small town somewhere in Canada. He decided to go to the bigger city, Montreal, and to get away from that small town kind of life. And when he's coming into to the city, he's finding things just so different. The time they're in, there's like a huge plague that came about, and this one company kind of held on to the vaccine and only distributed it to certain people of certain classes. And that caused a lot of disruption and contention between the populace, of all the different classes. And so during this time, he's in the city while all these different protests, and we have these different rebel groups, and trying to make them distribute this vaccine to everyone, not just people of certain privilege, And so while he's in the city trying to find places to live and stuff like that, and trying to make his way, he runs into this one woman who everyone's after. This woman apparently tried to murder one of the top guys of this company that is over the vaccine, and she somehow is able to disable and kill tons of police in their teams, their rescue teams, like when they're trying to look for her and stuff. So he runs to a detective and kind of mentions the woman, and they take his information, and then he goes to this one hotel that's very Japanese-esque, where they stay in these little cubicles, like these little pods, and he meets this woman, and they go to eat out for lunch, and it pretty much ends that way. But something about it. I just loved how it just kind of felt very futuristic, but subtle. It was subtle in a way. It approached the dystopian world, and it's taking its time world building. Like, you know, he was writing in his journal. He was talking to his friend Leon before his friend Leon saw him out, and it was, you know, talking about, it was in French too, but I understood enough to kind of translate it, that he was talking about a reoccurring dream that he had at this place at one point. So although it didn't go too much in depth about what's going on, we do meet this one mysterious woman character who tried to kill the CEO. We see that she you know, has a neighbor who takes care of her somewhat, you know, and he knows about her, you know, her. And then this one character, Rial, I think there's going to be something where it's going to be some kind of meeting between him and this weird woman, this woman who's, we don't know who she is. There's probably going to be a meeting between the two, and they're going to probably team up somehow, reluctantly or maybe willingly, I don't know. But I'm so far enjoying it, and I love the illustrations inside. It's absolutely beautiful. It's just very, very manga-esque / very French-esque. I feel like I'm going back to my old days of reading my European comics when I read this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it was something about it that just, it could have been bad, and I would still enjoy it because the art in it was just so beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a very nice book.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see. Helena Crash, issue number 3.
What happened to mine? Oh my god! I know I ordered it.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god! No, I
Better get on that. Yes, it was lots of fun. More of the same, basically. She gets in this big brawl with the White Demon and her gang. They battle throughout the warehouse that they're in, and battle across a rooftop, and she does some crazy, you know, jump to escape the fight, and the White Demon decides that, oh, you know, she won't chase after Helena Crash because that was so cool. It took a lot of balls basically to do that crazy thing that she did. So, you know, she's gonna let her go for now, and there's some more warring going over coffee. And I think the next issue is the last issue, and I think it's gonna be a big giant brawl over a secret coffee lab, because coffee is outlawed in this future world. Just lots of fun. The animation, the art I'm so jealous of, because it is so seemingly kind of kid-like, but also well done at the same time, that you look at it and you go, oh, I could draw like that, but I know I couldn't consistently draw like that. So, you know, here's the opening sequence, you know, kind of a thing, is there's the White Demon gang member, and there's our main character Helena, and here's this double page splash page as she's leaping around the room fighting the gang members and whatnot. You know, it's not imperfectly proportioned. I mean, it's, like I said, it looks like something that, you know, I sat in math class instead of doing math homework drawing. But at the same time, I know that I wouldn't be able to do this, but it's really, I don't know, I dig it for that. I dig the art because it is just this so simple and like I said, juvenile in some ways, but it still just works really well for this character. The style of it and the vibe of it and whatnot it's pretty cool. So yeah, it was lots of fun. It's been a fun miniseries. I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends next issue. So yeah.
Like I said, I didn't get my issue.
Gonna have to check to make sure you actually ordered it for sure, huh?
I believe I did. I want to make sure. They've been messing up my orders lately.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I remember half your bag wasn't, or half of them weren't bagged and boarded. Did you ever get that result?
I contacted them, and I told them, I said, hey, I don't know if this was I strictly remember me ordering bags and boards for all my stuff. Like, is this did I not pay for this? And they're like, oh well, just let us know how much bags you're missing. I'm like, the whole order. The whole order was missing bags and boards. I only like 2 books that had bags and boards. It literally,
wow.
It was crazy. I didn't realize until way until late. I'm showing all the books. I'm like, why are my books not in bags and boards again? Like,
right. Yeah, we're talking about discount gallery bookstores for those people who don't know. Because yeah, typically once you click that radial that says "I want it," it stays there until you go in and change it, kind of a thing. And for me, I get the bags and boards, if for no other reason than it's just one more layer of protection as my comics are shipped.
Or
Because sometimes the bags are not the greatest bags in the world as far as how well they hold up and whatnot. But I still get them for the it doesn't cost that many cents per issue to get them, and like I said, it's just another level of protection for my books when they are transported. So that's really strange that you'd end up with some without it.
Yeah.
They have all those people up there. When you look at your order, it lists the initials of everybody that was responsible for your order.
Mm-hmm.
Even down to who taped the box shut. So you just out those people. Go, yeah, it was that ZN person. They screwed me up when they. Or Quinn forgot to pick your I'm gonna
start sending them so that way they know, like, because they keep asking me to send them like pictures and stuff. That's what's holding me up every time. I just say never mind, because I don't have time to sit here and go back and on my shelf pull out all the books that like I don't have time for that. So I'm gonna start just giving them links to my videos. Say this. So.
Yeah. Well, I know that I know that Captain Strangelife, another great YouTuber here does ancient. I mean, he's got great classic comics and whatnot. Go and check. That's what a lot of times he does. He opens up like his eBay buys and stuff like that because he does lots of business across eBay buying books and stuff. He uses that. I mean, that's what he does. He literally, he's showing us too. I mean, he shows the video to us, but as he's opening up, if something's wrong, that's what he is sending to them. He's sending a link to his video, showing the corners that are bent or whatever. If you've said that something's a certain grade and it's mangled, that kind of thing. I mean, he does that all the time. So I think it's a pretty common thing. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that for less, because that's a good idea. I didn't want to seem kind of like here's my video, but
no, I mean, that's the documentation.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
You guys see on my videos, I'm like, I really do need to do that, because this is like I pay too much money for these freaking comics for them to be messing my stuff up. I really do.
I'm just really surprised you have as much problems as you are. I mean, I occasionally have something go wrong. They always fix it immediately for me, but as a whole, I don't really have too many issues.
You remember that 1 week they said they were gonna give me my books for free? They never did that either. They totally like reneged on it and tried to pretend like that really pissed me off. It turned me off so bad. I was like, I'm literally gonna stop buying comics from them. I'm not gonna do it anymore. But I continued on because I've been doing it for so long now. But that really bothered me because they sent me an email clearly stating that I was going to get those whole weeks of comics for free. You should have sent
You should have sent that email back to them saying, "Hey, you haven't done this yet."
I did. I said to them, I'm like, you didn't give me the comics for free. I noticed that I wasn't refunded or anything. They were like, we refunded your shipping. I'm like, oh wow, that's what they're trying to play. They're trying to play those games. I was like, yeah.
Huh. Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other books you want to talk about?
I have more books, but nothing so impressive.
You want to talk Savage Things?
Oh God, another book. What is going on?
Oh.
I know I ordered that book. I know I did.
Okay, I want to talk lots about it. It's issue 3. Basically, kind of hell's breaking loose. The bad guys are taking over the entire city, and our main good guy, questionably good guy, he goes by Abe or Abel, and Kane is the bad guy. They were named by other people, basically. I mean, they have real names, but that's kind of what they go by. He's a sociopath, and he is, our good guy's a sociopathic killer. He's going after a whole other unit of sociopathic killers that were basically a secret government op that would go and do horrible things. They would go into places and not just take out a target. They would butcher people. They'd hang their entrails up just to make everybody so afraid, to strike real terrorism, basically, in fear into people and stuff like that. The government decides they don't want them anymore. They try to take them out. They are unsuccessful at killing them off. And so now these guys have made it back to the United States and they're going to seek revenge on them. Well, that government institution also created this other guy, Abe, that was kind of along with them, but they instilled in him with a few moral fibers. I mean, so is he a true sociopath? I'm not sure, but they built him and then let him escape. But they've kind of done all this on purpose because he was kind of like the backup plan. If something happened and these guys got out of control and they couldn't take them out, they would use this guy to try and take them out. So that's kind of what's happening now. This issue, they spend most of their time kind of being behind, they're not out in front of what's going on. They're reacting. And by the end of the issue, they're realizing, okay, we need to quit reacting. We got to get out in front of these guys because if we don't, they're controlling the situation and they're just butchering people all over New York, kind of a deal. So it hasn't been bad. It's been pretty cool. Very bloody, very violent. Lots of people shooting people up and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like the comic. I like the first 2 issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this one just carries on from that and whatnot too. So I guess we're done talking comics. I'm afraid to bring up any more comics because I just know if I lift it up, Rez is gonna go, I didn't get that one either. So I'm a bit nervous to talk about the one other book that I read. So I guess we'll call. Is there any kind of indie news that?
I did have. Hold on, let me. I know I had some in my purse. Hold on.
Yeah, I can't think of any kind of indie-ish kind of news that's.
Let's see.
So we'll wait here and see what Rez has got.
I had put something in my purse. I took out of a magazine.
It's an Archie Digest.
Sweet.
Oh, there we go. Yep, here we go. American Gods.
Oh, so have you watched the first episode?
No, I have not. But it's a Sunday 30th. So
yeah, last Sunday was the first episode, and it was awesome.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah.
now I need to go. I'll watch it tonight if I can. But yeah, I was like, I got to bring that up.
So Rez, you remember we read the first issue, and at the end of it, there was the whole, the kind of goddess of, love or whatever in there and whatnot. I guess that is actually part of the book. It's also in the first episode, Rez.
Don't lie to me.
The whole thing.
Oh my God! I'm gonna watch it tonight.
So,
I'm gonna be watching tonight. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, it was interesting. I really liked it. It's very moody, very it's very Brian Fuller. Brian Fuller has kind of helped write the screenplay for it. He's the producer. Brian Fuller is also responsible for the Hannibal show that went on for a couple of years, a few years ago, and whatnot. He's a local boy. He actually, the city I live in is the city he grew up in as a kid. So I kind of, my wife knows him better than I know him, but at any rate, as I name drop because I'm that kind of special. So yeah, it's got kind of his hallmark around it, and whatnot, but it is very good. It's got some funny parts in it that are pretty funny and whatnot. And no, it's good. They added some things that are really curious that aren't in the book and certainly aren't in the comic. Some kind of more modern, because the book was written in the early 90s, I think. So it's got some socially current kind of things and whatnot that are kind of interesting. So yes, if not on air, off air, Rez, I look forward to talking to you about it after you've seen it, after you've watched it. This weekend tomorrow should be episode 2. Should be.
So I gotta definitely watch it tonight then, so I can be up to date.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. And what Fear the Walking Dead's coming back very soon, isn't it? Doesn't it start up in June?
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe it's June. I'm trying to catch up on the last few episodes of Walking Dead, and then on my friend Mike's, because we did a whole episode dedicated to analyzing each episode of Fear the Walking Dead. So I'm gonna try to catch up on the Walking Dead, so that way I won't miss out on the actual season when it's going on of Fear the Walking Dead. So me and him would do another video.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool.
Something else I picked up. I just thought that was really, really cool. Look at that. is an advertisement for Silicon Valley. I still have yet to get into the show. I hear it's brilliant. But look at the illustration. You knew who this is by?
No, who is it by?
I assumed it was Klaus. That's why I assumed. I mean, look like it. That's why I grabbed it.
It does. Yeah.
That guy's face. It's total Klaus right there.
Yeah. If not, yeah, Dan Klaus. Yeah, that's what Ryan's saying. So,
So
if not, it's somebody knocking him off, huh? So.
Yeah. That's what when I saw it, I said, "It's Klaus." I grabbed it. I stole it out the magazine.
So if you're at your local doctor's office or wherever it was that Rez was, you're going to suddenly open up and go, "Oh, where's that article at? Where's that article on fish sticks? It's gone." You know who to blame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Ryan's saying it is. It's not a knockoff. It was done by him. So
Yeah.
Well,
I know. I know my art.
yeah. Well,
Yep.
sure enough. Good deal. Well, with that, I guess we'll call it a night. Thanks for coming on and talking comics with me, guys.
Thanks, Chad.
Always appreciate it. Anybody who watches this, I put the links to Rez's and Mike's channels down below. You need to watch this out. I think that Mike's channel and the Comic Book Look will both be busier here in the next week or so, I would guess, because you got Con coming up next weekend, right?
Correct. Yeah, the local one for our town, and we have a friend visiting from Tennessee, the bagging and boarding bad boy Mark. So.
All right, sweet deal. Check his channel out too. Is that what it's called? Is it called bagging? It is bagging and yep, it's bagging and boarding. Yeah. So check him out too. He gets some great books, reads lots of books.
Yeah.
High energy guy. So yeah,
Very positive guy. Yep.
I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't.
So you'll have a fun weekend then.
Yeah, pretty much so. And he's crashing at John on Demand's place, so makes it even better. I can only imagine the stories that'll come out of that. So.
Yeah, I bet. Awesome. Because John's gone there, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he did. He went to Tennessee. Yep.
Yeah. So cool deal. At any rate, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Once again, thank you guys all for watching. Those of you who watch, you either watch live, you either watch after the fact. Always appreciate it. Leave comments. I'll try to get back to your comments if I can. Mercy on the last show had a bunch of comments that this weekend I will be jumping on to reply to her. So yeah, anyway, have a great week, everybody. And some of us will be back next week. I don't know. Mike might be too beat from his con craziness to be here, but somebody will be here. Anyway,
I'll be.
Okay. Have a great one, everybody.
Bye.